Radio. I'm Jason. That's Bobby.
Hello.
How are you doing, man?
I'm doing pretty good. How are you?
Excellent, thank you. So, it's going to be a big show today. We have plenty of things to talk about. We're going to be talking about Ahmed Mohamed and his Muslim Clock of Doom.
Ah, yes.
We're going to be talking about the Dear Fat People video fallout. And we're even going to be memorializing one of our favorite old haunted hotspots.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll get into all that, I'm sure. But first, strangefrequenciesradio.wordpress.com is our website. And did you know that on that website, you can hear the show live? You can always listen live. You can also get show archives on there. If you're ever having trouble downloading the show through conventional means, you can click on the Dropbox link and get the MP3. We make that available for about the last, roughly about 3 months worth of shows, maybe more.
Yeah.
Somewhere around there. Usually about the last 15 or so. Let's see. We also make the YouTube link available. Sometimes. Not always. It just depends if and when Bob wants to do it. That's all it comes down to.
Yep.
And Bob, are we experiencing technical difficulties already?
Buddy, we got so many technical difficulties going on right now, it's unbelievable.
You know what we should start doing is before we actually start the show, we should do like a practice 5-minute show.
We have enough fucking time right at the beginning. I don't know why we don't.
We get to Bobby's house like 15 or 20 minutes before the show actually starts. And then we would have time to do a practice show. But even I'm not convinced that would even do anything. I think it would be fine when we practice it. And then when we actually start doing the live show, something would screw up.
Yeah, they're saying that they're picking up a lot of static in the chat room listening, the live listeners. So I'm trying to figure out what would be better. And the fucking recording keeps stopping. So I'm ready to just say, fuck the show, let's go get a burger.
Yes! You know, it's always my favorite thing to stop the show and just go get burgers instead. I've been wanting this for years. Has that ever happened? Have we ever just stopped the show and went and got burgers?
No, but we really should.
We really should.
We should just stop and go get burgers.
What have you restarted the computer before?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then somebody said clear, and now they're saying echoing. No, we're good now.
We're good now.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So
I blame the cat.
It's the cat's fault, guys.
The cat comes down here and chews off knobs.
Yeah.
I've hybrided like 3 boards together right here.
You've soldered them all together. We're gonna have Ahmed Mohamed come by and make us a new board.
I didn't invent the clock.
Yeah. All right. So okay. So aside from the YouTube link, which may or may not ever be available because Bobby will only upload it if and when he feels like it. We also you can also link up to our Facebook page, which is facebook.com/strangefrequenciesradio. On there, you can just click like, join in the conversation. And if you already like the page, feel free to tell your friends. We always appreciate that. All right. So, any other announcements to make before we launch into the stories here?
No.
Then let's do this. All right. So I'm sure the biggest story of the week, most likely the one that's caused the most conversation amongst the Facebookerati and everybody else, is 14-year-old Muslim student Ahmed Mohamed,
yes.
The student in Texas. He makes this clock /pencil box hybrid. Like he takes a clock, puts it into a pencil box, and so there's some wires and all that kind of stuff. He brings it into school. He shows his engineering teacher. Later on he gets in trouble. People think it's a bomb. Everybody, I'm sure, has heard the story by now. Everyone's probably had an opinion on it. Do you have any general thoughts about the story before we go into it? Because I really want to break this down, maybe not moment by moment, but using all the information that's available now.
Sure.
I want to break it down piece by piece.
What I'm going to say right off the top is that though I have no 100% evidence to support this, so I'm going to try and leave out my emotional feeling that he was racially profiled.
Yeah, okay.
However, I do want to say I think he was racially profiled.
Okay. So yeah, we'll get into all that for sure. All right, so the story, as I understand it, goes like this. Ahmed Mohamed says that before school that day, like before bed, basically the night before, he spent like 20 minutes taking this clock and putting it into this Vaults pencil case or whatever, which I actually have some Vaults cases or whatever. I have like one or two at home. They're just like crammed into a... is it stopping recording again?
Yeah.
So yeah, I have some Vaults pencil cases at my house, like one or two or whatever. So I'm familiar basically with the size of them or whatever. So he takes this clock, puts it into the pencil case, like, solders it together, has some wires and everything in there and all that kind of stuff. And he says it takes like 15, 20 minutes before bed the night before. He wanted to bring it in the next day to show people or whatever. So he comes into school, and apparently the first person he shows is his engineering teacher. Mm-hmm. And the engineering teacher, according to him, says, he's like, that's nice, but don't show any of the other teachers. I wouldn't show anybody else if I were you, basically. Right. I don't know if that's because that engineering teacher thought maybe that there was going to be, he knew there was going to be something going on. Maybe he thought the thing looked like a bomb. I don't know. He said, I wouldn't show anybody else. So later on in his English class, in Ahmed's English class, apparently during the school day, this is terrible. It's not recording at all. Why does it keep doing that?
I have no clue where this is. This is a fucking Mac. It's supposed to be the king of recording.
Right.
I've never fucking been able to record a full show.
All right, so I'll just stop. So later on during his English class, apparently the thing starts beeping. Dude, this is ridiculous. It stopped recording again.
I'm about to say screw it, go to a different recording program and start the whole fucking show over.
I can do that. We haven't really gotten that far into the show or anything.
Sure, well then we're doing that.
Okay.
I'm not fucking doing this bull. I can't even fucking stop it.
So remember, folks at home, you're not watching a live show. What you are doing is watching two people be frustrated as a podcast is recorded. All this camera is for is just for you to watch our growing and mounting frustration as we try to record a podcast.
Yeah.
Or really Bobby's. I mean, Bobby's the one who gets frustrated because he's the one who has to
I'm
do everything.
Beyond pissed off right now. We're fucking starting over. This is like if they were at like a recording of a sitcom.
Yeah.
And people fuck up and have to go redo the scene.
There's different takes. Like this is take 2.
Yeah. We normally don't do this. But normally we don't have the fucking recording stop 16 times right in the beginning.
That's true. So what the people at home listening will hear is we're going to open up the new recording device. Hopefully Audacity works. Excuse me. And we're going to just I'll start over saying welcome to Strange Frequency. Should I do this? Should I do the music?
Theme. No.
No theme? Okay.
No.
All right.
Start.
All right. Welcome to Strange Frequencies Radio. I am Jason. This is Bobby.
Hi.
and we have a big show lined up for you here today. You're not going to hear any guests. What you're going to hear is just me and Bobby talking about the issues as we enjoy talking about them. StrangeFrequenciesRadio.wordpress.com is our website. On that website, not only can you listen live, not only can you get show archives, that's not all. You can also, if you're ever having trouble downloading the show through conventional means, you can click on the Dropbox link. You'll get the MP3. We make that available for about the last 3 months worth of shows or so.
Yes.
You can also get the show on YouTube. If and when Bobby decides to upload it.
If.
And why do you sometimes not want to upload it?
I want to upload it all the time.
What happens?
It takes forever, and then it will time out. And after it times out about 4 times, I'm done.
Shaking my head at you right now. SMH, dude. SMH. All right. So you can also link up to our Facebook page from the website. It's facebook.com/Strange Frequencies Radio. If you've already clicked like and joined in the conversation, feel free to tell your friends. And if not, go ahead and stop by and give us a like. We would love to hear from you.
Please.
All right. So we have plenty of stories to talk about here. Bob, do you have any announcements before we start the show?
I do not.
Again?
No. Before the show again.
All right. Then we'll start once more with the story involving 14-year-old Muslim student Ahmed Mohamed, who got in all kinds of trouble because he put a clock and a pencil case together.
Yes.
Now, before we really talk about that story, do you have any general thoughts about it at all that you want to get out before we get into this? Because I kind of want to break down this story piece by piece.
Okay, so I do want to say for the second time.
Yeah.
That
people at home will be thinking, why do they keep saying the second time?
I do want to say that I believe that although it has not been proven, and I actually have no evidence to go forward with this, besides one little claim that may or may not have been said.
Okay.
So I will try to eliminate my emotional convictions that he was racially profiled.
Okay.
I do believe he was racially profiled.
And I can understand what you mean, because I know when stories like this happen, it seems like the first thing people want to do is immediately jump to a conclusion and get angry and start criticizing everybody involved and everything like that. And I can sort of understand that, but what I try to do anyway is try to step back, not get emotionally invested right away.
Right.
And try to go through it piece by piece and see what actually happened. And maybe by the end of this, we'll have a determination, but anyway, so what happened is, and like I said, we're going to kind of break down the story piece by piece here, using the information we have available. I guess I can't swear to you that the information that we have available is 100% accurate, but this is the story that everyone seems to have agreed on for the most part. So what happened is, Ahmed Mohamed is a 14-year-old student in Texas, in a high school. He says that the night before he went to school, before bed, like 15 or 20 minutes, took a clock, a digital clock, took a Volts pencil case, and basically made it so that the clock you could see from the outside of the pencil case, and inside it was all put together. So he put a clock into a pencil case, basically. Yeah. And if you open up a pencil case, you see that there's wires and there's some soldering that went on and all that kind of stuff. So he brings it into school that day, and he says that he shows his engineering teacher first. Mm-hmm. That was the teacher he showed first. That teacher said, Ahmed, that's really nice, but I wouldn't show any of the other teachers. Now, I don't know why he said that. Could he have been saying that because maybe he wasn't impressed? Maybe he said, Ahmed, I don't want you to be embarrassed in front of the other teachers. I don't think that was the case, but could he be saying it because the engineering teacher thought, you know what, people are going to think this is a bomb? Or maybe it was because, Ahmed, you're not only a Muslim, but you have dark skin. Could that have something to do with it? Why the teacher said that?
I'm thinking possibly.
Yeah. So if that's what the teacher said, that's what Ahmed is saying. The teacher said that it's nice, just don't show any of the other teachers. So clearly the teacher must have had some concern, apparently, according to Ahmed. Later on that day, he's in English class, is Ahmed, and the clock that he wasn't supposed to show anybody else starts beeping, and his teacher's like, "What is that incessant beeping or whatever that's interrupting my lesson plan or whatever?" And so he ends up showing her. And the teacher keeps this clock/pencil case hybrid, and she says something like, "This looks like a bomb." And he's like, "It's not a bomb. It's not a bomb. It doesn't look like a bomb." Or he kind of shows her. She's like, "Well, I'm going to hold on to this anyway." So he leaves. He leaves without the clock. He goes on to his next classes or whatever. And the teacher obviously had some concern, felt it was a bomb at one point, or at least thought it looked like a bomb. Mm-hmm. She was concerned enough, at least, to call. She takes it to the principal. The principal ends up calling the police. They want to check into this or for whatever reason. They think it's something suspicious. So they call the police. They bring Ahmed out of a later class. He gets pulled out of like 6th period or whatever he said. And he says, he walks into the room where the cops are, and he says what they say. The cop says is like something to the effect of like, just who I thought it would be.
Now, that quote right there. Now this came from Ahmed. Yeah. I have not actually seen a police officer claim that they've made this statement. If that statement was made, this is racial profiling.
Yeah, because what Ahmed says is that when he heard that, that's what instantly made him think like, okay, now I'm self-conscious about my skin.
Yes.
I'm self-conscious about my skin color, my religion, and all that. And that's when he started thinking like, this is more than I thought it was going to be. First, I thought I was just getting in trouble for making like a weird thing or whatever. Now we have the police here. Now they're saying things like, just who I thought it would be. It looks like just who I thought it would be, or whatever the case was, whatever the exact quote was. So it seems like right away the cops realize this is not a bomb. I mean, they look at it, they don't think it's a bomb. So I've seen a lot of people say something like, if the cops thought this was a bomb, they would have called the bomb squad. Right. And I agree. I don't think the cops ever thought it was a bomb. Right. They looked at it.
So I guess where my confusion came when this whole story happened is that, so he gets pulled out of 6th period. Yeah. So if he was in 5th period before that, or however they do it, because I know, when we went to Bowser, it was called 4 through 6.
Yeah, right.
So I don't know how.
I never understood that. But yeah, go ahead.
So if he was in 5th period when this happened, then he gets arrested. So between that, just because the teacher, I'll say that maybe the teacher did the right thing by withholding this suspicious looking, what she considered to be a suspicious looking box. Yeah. It looks like a bomb or whatever. If she truly thought it was a bomb and the school wasn't evacuated, I have serious issues with the school and neglect for students. Not just how they treated Ahmed, but the student population in a hole
If
at
they
the
really-
school.
if-
If they
if-
really thought this
If
was
the
suspicious,
teacher thought it was a bomb, yeah, okay.
if they thought this was a bomb, which I have no reason to suspect that she didn't think it was a bomb at first, or she thought it looked like a bomb, but if they actually had that suspicion of a bomb, and everybody wants to say that you can't be too careful these days, why was the school not evacuated?
I hear you. I don't have a problem with what the teacher did, which is, like, if she really was suspicious about this object, apparently the protocol, I suppose if you think you have some kind of device that's, you know, a bomb or whatever else, maybe you do call the cops first. I don't really know exactly what their protocol is, but I don't have a problem with her taking it if she was suspicious about it.
Right.
Or thought it was a hoax or whatever, that she took it. I don't really have a problem with that necessarily. Because I think it's probably her job, if she is suspicious about something, to check into it further. So I don't really have a problem with that. My problem comes up here in just a minute. So Ahmed, you know, he goes in and talks to the cops. The cops are saying, basically, apparently, they're telling him things like, look, we think this is a bomb hoax. We don't think this is, you know, this device you have here, even though it looks, you know, kind of weird to the average person or some layman or whatever. It might look weird. Is there anything here that looks like a bomb? No, but we think it's a bomb hoax. We think basically you built this to make people think it was a bomb. Yeah, or that you were trying to scare people. So he's saying, no, I haven't told anybody that's a bomb. You know, I didn't build it with the intent of making it look like a bomb. It's just a stupid pencil case that you can pick up for $5 at the store.
Let me ask you, could you, but do you think that the student, or do you think that the teachers thought it was a bomb?
I think that they were suspicious about something. Whether or not she actually thought for sure it was a bomb or not, I guess I don't know. I mean,
because I'm still stuck on this whole not evacuating the school.
Yeah.
I mean, because even if you called the school and there's no bomb present, even to see, and you just say there's a bomb in the boiler room, you're gonna get everybody out of that fucking school.
One would like to think.
I mean, I know they did that with us at Bowser. There was a couple times where we were all. I always loved that we were evacuated into the football field, which is right next to the school. So we would still be hit with fucking shrapnel and, and
there is no bomb shelter at the school, though, unfortunately.
But still, I mean, there was nothing that leads me to suspect that the teachers actually thought this was a bomb.
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking, like, I don't know if the teacher really 100% thought it was a bomb or she just thought it was something suspicious that needed to be looked into. That I don't know. I mean, I don't think the clock was ticking backwards or anything like that. Maybe if the clock was like, 59, 58, 57, I was like, get out! Then I could see them evacuating the school or whatever.
Yeah.
But so I don't know that she actually thought it was legit. This is definitely a bomb. I just think she thought it was suspicious enough that, well, let's check into this further or whatever. So so the cops are basically apparently focusing on Ahmed making a hoax bomb, saying like, you built this trying to make it look like it was a movie bomb or whatever, and maybe you told people it was a bomb, you're trying to scare people, in other words. Ahmed saying, no, I didn't. I haven't told anyone it's a bomb. I didn't build it with that intent or anything like that. I showed my engineering teacher, I wasn't scared. I mean, I think if you bring in something that you think that you're trying to pass off as a bomb, and the first person you show is the engineering teacher.
Yeah, you failed.
Right. So, anyway, but what they end up doing is the cops are saying, we never could really get a straight answer out of Ahmed. He seemed kind of evasive at times. He didn't seem like he was being entirely truthful and that kind of stuff. So what they ended up doing was handcuffing him and, basically placing him in restraint, and then I'm going to use the word parading him through the school, because it's not like they did this with any kind of sensitivity at all. They walked him in front of other students and everything. There's of course the picture that's been posted all around social media and everything of Ahmed standing there in handcuffs. You can see kids in the background and everything, and Ahmed looks scared, confused. Maybe angry, confused. I think maybe all those emotions. You can, reasonably suggest that he appears to be. I'm
gonna tell you right now, though.
Yeah.
I mean, if I got taken down into a room, and there was cops there, and they're asking me about my clock or my quasi-semi invention that I just brought in just to impress my engineering teacher. It's the first week of school, and you kind of want to get on the good side of teachers. And I'm being questioned, and I'm going, no, it's just a clock. Yeah. And they're asking me all these questions. I'm going, it's just a clock.
Right. It's a clock I put into the box.
And
they're probably like, why did you put the clock into the box?
I don't know. That's just what I did. And they're like,
why don't you know that you put? Why don't you know what you did?
And again, I'm not there to be interrogated. I wasn't there in the interrogation. I don't know how he was being evasive. But if you're saying stuff like that, I mean, then they take you down to a fucking real cell in an interrogation room. Yeah. I just like to know, like, what did he say that was so evasive? Like,
Maybe that's what it was. If he was saying things like,
subjective?
I don't know, I just did it. And like, why did you do it? What do you mean you don't know? You obviously took a clock and you put, you know how cops can be.
Yeah.
They got this kid in a room. He's not allowed to call his parents.
Which that pissed me off a lot.
He hasn't been able to call his parents. He doesn't have anybody else with him acting as, he doesn't have a lawyer. He doesn't have a parent with him.
Yeah.
So apparently he wanted to make that kind of call and they said, no, you're not allowed or whatever, which doesn't sound right at all.
Yeah.
But anyway, that was the situation he was in. And, so yeah, but you know how cops can be, especially if there's no lawyer present or whatever. They're going to be hammering away. So if he's saying like, I don't know, I just did. Like, what do you mean you don't know? You mean you took this clock, you put it in this case,
and you don't know why you did it?
You don't know why you did it?
No, I just put the. Okay, well, let's take him down.
Ahmed, you're being evasive. Just tell me the truth. Tell me what happened. You know, so they're going to start hammering away or whatever.
Yeah. And to me, that's totally subjective.
Yeah.
I don't think they should have allowed that at the school. I don't know if they actually have the right to make that call.
Yeah.
I think they handled this like a fucking circus.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like it was handled well at all from the police standpoint. Like I said, I'm not going to blame the school administrators yet until I have more information. I think maybe ultimately they did. Ultimately they may have been wrong, but I think maybe in the moment they really did have a suspicion and they wanted to check it out. And I don't actually have a problem with them if they had a reasonable suspicion or they thought they were reasonable suspicion anyway, and they call. I guess I don't have a problem with what they did.
And I'm going to go ahead and say then. If Ahmed came down there, and the very first thing he heard out of the police mouth was just what I figured.
Yeah,
they've already made their fucking mind up here.
Right.
Again,
that's what it sounds like.
Yes, they've already made their mind up, and nothing that this kid could say is going to get him out of this mess.
Yeah. So that's what it sounds like from what Ahmed said. Whether that really happened or whether it happened the way it's been portrayed, that I don't know. But if that's what happened, I could see from Ahmed. Why do I keep calling him Ahmad?
Yeah.
I could see from Ahmed's perspective why he would think like, now I'm self-conscious about my skin color, I'm self-conscious about my religion and all that because they're saying like, just who I thought it was going to be.
Right.
You know? But anyway, so yeah, they place him in handcuffs, they walk him through the building or whatever, other kids see him, you see the picture being taken and all that kind of stuff. So that's the part where I'm like, I don't understand why they did that.
Yeah. That's you're treating the kid like a criminal.
Yeah, right.
I mean, I think you were the one that told me they don't even do that to senators.
Yeah, I mean, so like there's like sensitive, when somebody of some kind of rank or whatever is being arrested or it's a sensitive situation and you don't want to cause a scene. Mm-hmm. Of course, cops will say we're not going to put you in handcuffs, but walk out with us, basically. Or you've seen probably in TV shows or whatever they put like the suit jacket over the handcuffs or whatever, so you don't see the handcuffs because they treat it's a sensitive situation. We don't want to cause a scene. We don't want to make this a big show or whatever, so we're going to try to treat it sensitively. I don't think they did that here, and I think this wasn't an incident where they should have treated it sensitively. This is a 14-year-old kid. We have no hard evidence that he attempted to make a bomb or that he tried to hoax a bomb, or tried to make a bomb scare anything. We have no evidence of that, but still we're going to put him in handcuffs and we're going to walk him to the school or whatever. Yeah. That's the part where I'm like, okay, you handled this completely wrong, especially if it's true they didn't allow him to call his parents. His dad is a lawyer, so that so that would have been
I believe that when the parents found out, they wanted to see he wanted to see his son, and they still said no.
Okay, so yeah,
I'm not positive that's what happened, but I remember reading that.
Yeah, so it's really weird, like with the law. I mean, so Ahmed and his family have. His dad's basically saying, "Look, we're going to see a lawyer. We're going to check in. We're going to talk. We're thinking about suing." Ahmed's saying he's going to transfer out of the school. Mm-hmm. He's not going to go to that school anymore and all that. So, I don't know. So, overall, I think the kid got a raw deal. I mean, eventually the cops and everything did say, look, we have no evidence that he was trying to make a bomb scare. He's not under arrest. He's not in any more trouble or whatever. But I think, isn't he still serving a suspension?
No,
from the school?
That's what you said. They never left the suspension. I think they gave him a 3-day suspension.
Like a 3-day suspension, yeah.
Which, if that's true, I want to know why.
Yeah, I mean, if he didn't do anything wrong.
Are they trying to get him, like, you still, regardless of what you did or did not, you still used poor judgment and you caused a ruckus in the school? Yeah. So we're going to penalize you for that? Yeah,
but then I would say, like, the ruckus was not caused from me. It was caused because everybody else overreacted to something. If that's what happened, yeah. So I mean, if everyone just overreacted about this, and it seems like the cops were the one that caused the ruckus. Right. They arresting him and parading him through and everything. So that seems to be what got everyone upset or whatever. And then of course the story comes out and everyone starts attacking the teacher as like an Islamophobic and a racist and all this. I'm not ready to say that yet. I mean, unless the teacher had like a long history or had a history before of like making snide remarks about Ahmed or treating him differently because of his skin color or religion before. So I don't really, like I said, at the end of this, I can't really find any specific blame with the teacher. I'm not really angry with the teacher. It's more the cops in arresting him and putting him to the school, bringing him to the school where he was photographed and all that kind of stuff. That's the part I think is weird where that was mishandled. But do you think that they'll have any kind of legal case to pursue?
I don't know how. I mean, yeah. I don't know yet, but I do want to just say that I do have the direct quote from Chief Larry Boyd.
Okay.
He said that the follow-up investigation revealed the device apparently was a homemade experiment, and there was no evidence to support the perception he intended to create alarm.
Yeah.
Which tells me that they could find that this is not a hoax bomb.
Yeah.
Because, if this was a hoax bomb and they're able to prove that, the kid's going to jail.
Yeah, he's going to get in trouble.
He's going to get in trouble, man. You can't hoax shit like that and then think that it's just a joke. You're going to get in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, so I guess this is actually a part where we could talk about this conspiracy idea that's going around.
Oh, yes.
And I've seen this for the past couple days now. I've seen it on Breitbart. I've seen it on a few different... it's been passed around the internet in different sources or whatever. But the general idea is that Ahmed Mohamed's father is a attorney who... Apparently he's ran for president in his native country, I guess once or twice. But one thing he did is you remember that pastor from Florida? I can't remember his name, Terry something or other or whatever.
The guy that burnt the Quran.
Yeah, right. Yeah. This guy opposed him in a legal sense, or he said, "Well, I'm going to take the side of the Quran in this court case or whatever." So he was involved in that story. He had a minor role, I guess, in that story. So what people are saying is that he basically sent Ahmed to school with this device, knowing that people would think it was a bomb. That way it would cause an uproar within the school or whatever. And he could then sue the school for, I guess, wrongful arrest and, put forth charges of, racism and Islamophobia from not only the school officials but the police. That basically he did all this so that they would have, he would have a cause. He could rally around, make some money, become a celebrity or whatever the case may be, basically make a big stink out of it.
Yeah.
So that's the basic conspiracy theory. This was all set up between Ahmed and his father. I don't know that that's true. I guess I can't say it's not true, but I will say it makes an awful lot of assumptions.
Yes.
I mean, they would have had to be pretty wicked smart to know that if you bring this in, people are going to think this is a bomb.
Right.
I guess they would have to say, well, set it so it starts going off during English class or whatever, so that way that teacher finds it, and that way they take it, and they think it's about all this. So I'm not saying it didn't happen. I'm saying there are a few assumptions that have been made in there. And actually, maybe they're not even assumptions. Maybe there is factual basis to it. I just don't know that yet. So until those facts come out, I'm going to reserve judgment on that. I don't believe that conspiracy right now. But if, like I said, more information comes out, the police certainly weren't able to uncover any kind of conspiracy so far. Yeah. So I mean, if there was a conspiracy, you would hope that, and they're saying that's why Ahmed was being evasive in his answers. It's he didn't know what he should say. He didn't want to implicate his father at all, so he was kind of being evasive and all this. I don't know. Like I said, it makes an awful lot of assumptions. So right now, I'm not going to say that I believe that. But if that's the story that comes out later,
and we'll cover it.
And I don't know when that's going to come out because it seems like the investigation is over.
Yeah.
But maybe if they go forward with the lawsuit or whatever, and they talk to Ahmed again, so he can file some type of deposition. Maybe that'll come out somehow. That'll more facts will come out. So until then, like I said, I'm reserving judgment. But I don't believe it right now. But hey, if more facts come out and that's what happened, yeah, absolutely, we're going to criticize. We're going to criticize a lot of people in this story actually, because if that's true, if the conspiracy belief is true, all the ideas about Islamophobia and racism and everything, those will all get thrown out the window because they were up to some nefarious plot or whatever. But like I said, right now I'm not gonna buy into it. But so yeah, I don't know if they're gonna have a case against the school or anything or against the police. The school's gonna say, look, we followed protocol.
Yeah, the school's gonna say we followed protocol. And the police are gonna say they followed protocol.
Yeah, the police are gonna say they followed protocol, and maybe they're gonna try to get them on the. As
a matter of fact, that's what they're already saying.
Yeah. I mean, maybe they're going to try to get him on, violating, his due process rights or whatever. You didn't allow him to have an attorney. You didn't allow him to call a guardian or, a parent or whatever. Maybe that's what they're going to point to. But then I've heard before about, I don't know if this really counts or whatever, but, I mean, there's a reason that people are in, Guantanamo Bay, for years on end without trial, is because after 9/11, in the Patriot Act and other similar type of legislation, it's basically your due process rights don't exist as people once thought they did. Now it's like, if you are suspected at all of terrorism, or suspected of, as they call, an enemy combatant, your rights are basically out the window.
Yeah.
You don't have any rights, really. They can question you. They can, they can hold you without trial or whatever. So it's crazy, and I don't think that's right or anything. We can have a separate discussion about that. But if that's the case, if they're going to say, "Well, we suspected terrorism," and if they say that, maybe they won't get in trouble at all. So I don't know. Maybe that was just the protocol they had to follow. It's a messed up story, regardless of how you look at it. Based on the information we have right now, and based on what the cops are saying, that there's no evidence that this was any kind of hoax or anything. That this was just a kid who made a stupid clock and damn pencil box or whatever.
Yeah.
Then obviously the kid got a raw deal.
Yeah. He deserves an apology.
I think he does. Yeah. I mean, the school's saying we're not going to apologize because we followed protocol, but can you also say yes, we followed protocol
And we were wrong.
and and I'm sorry this happened to you. Obviously, this is something that now you're getting a lot more attention out of this than maybe you wanted, and maybe some of it's been negative attention. So yeah, I don't see why you can't do both. Why can't you say we followed protocol, but we're also sorry that we caused you this problem? Or whatever.
I think that would be great. And by the way, your 3-day suspension is
right. That
no
would
longer,
also. Right, we're going to pull that out so you can come back to school or whatever. Now he says he doesn't want to come back to school. He's going to transfer out or whatever. But
I think he's already decided what school he's going to go to.
Yeah.
And everybody's talking about look at all this. He did this thing, and everybody's talking about this. This possible racial discrimination and all these other things. But look at the deals that he got. He got to go to Facebook. He gets to go to MIT. He gets to go to the White House. I don't fucking care about any of that.
Yeah.
I mean, if it's true and this was a case that was based on racial profiling, the kid has been exposed to something that he can never get back now. If it's true, I mean, he's been profiled racially.
He's a victim of that. If all this is true, he's been a victim of that, and I don't know how you don't carry that with you. I mean, he's 14 years old. He's going to carry that with him in future, in future interactions with authorities.
Yeah, and I think it's just terrible if that's what happened.
Yeah, if it's not what happened, or even if either way, I mean, I think he's ultimately going to be okay. I mean,
mentally, I think he'll be perfectly.
He seems to have a good outlook about it. I've seen him, address reporters and everything like that. He seems to be taking it with a lot of humor or whatever. Yeah, like you mentioned, Obama saying, come to the White House. He's like, cool clock, Ahmed. Come to the White House and show us or whatever. They're having some big inventors assembly there next month, I think. So he's been invited there. Like you mentioned, Mark Zuckerberg told him to come to Facebook. He's getting a lot more attention than I imagine he expected. Some of it's been negative, but a lot of it's been positive.
Yeah.
Most people that I've seen online and everything are completely on his side. The school and the police have been roundly criticized. And maybe they'll end up being found legally culpable, although that's yet to be seen. But the idea that he's getting so much support, not just from his peers or whatever, just from, and not just from regular people online, but he's also getting positive support from, like President Obama, Mark Zuckerberg, I think you said MIT has also invited him out. So those are all good things. And I hope if he was in fact a victim of racial profiling, I hope that all that does something to ease any kind of tension he might have over that.
I do want to talk about one thing about the story, which I don't really understand, is that you said I think you said that you've seen Dawkins actually make the comment.
Yeah.
It's this whole fucking idea that Ahmed didn't invent a clock.
Yeah,
I don't give a flying fuck if Ahmed didn't invent a clock.
That was actually the last thing. Like in with all the story reading about it, that was like such a thing, like in the back of my head. I didn't even think that was important to people, but apparently it's very important to people.
For some reason.
People want to be made clear that Ahmed didn't actually invent a clock. Well, like, I never really thought he did.
Yeah.
But, I mean, he did say in the one video, like, my invention or whatever. Mm-hmm. Maybe to a 14-year-old, if you take a clock and put it in a pencil case or whatever, you just kind of think, like, I invented this or whatever.
It's still kind of cool.
Maybe maybe he used the word invention wrong. I mean, I agree with that.
Everybody's making this big fucking deal, like, did you actually think the kid was like soldering LEDs in his basement?
I already knew clocks had been invented before, so I didn't actually think he invented a clock.
I know that you can go on eBay right now, and you can spend like $20, and you can buy a small little kit for like $20.
Yeah.
And you can make the same exact thing that Ahmed made, and all you need is a soldering gun. It's not complex, okay, but I don't understand the point.
I'll say this. I can't do it.
I couldn't do it.
I'd end up burning my own finger or whatever. So, if if this is all he did, if no conspiracy or whatever else is ever uncovered, and right now I have no reason to believe there will be, but I'll hold off judgment. But if nothing like that ever happens, and all he did was just solder a clock into a solder some wires and everything like that, and put this clock into the pencil case, and you could open it, there's a clock in there or whatever. That's cool. I mean, I think it's great that he's able to do it. I certainly can't, so I'm not going to criticize him for that. I'm not going to criticize him because he used the word invention wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think anyone actually believed he invented a clock.
Yeah. So then I start looking at these pictures because they have that picture that's posted everywhere along with this. Is that picture of the inside of a pencil box.
Right.
And they're saying, see, this looks like a bomb. I went and looked up IEDs or whatever they're called, the specific type of bomb that they're trying to say that this kid invented or that this kid was hoaxing.
Yeah.
And in my perception, I'm not a fucking bomb expert,
right?
But I typically see an explosive
right.
somewhere in the IED.
Yeah.
And I don't see the explosive inside of this container.
Right.
I just see a box with wires and an LED that tells time.
Yeah. So nor did I. I mean, I can here's what I wanted to say though about this is I don't know if anyone's seen the picture of the clock. I mean, in the show notes today, we're going to have a link to a multiple part article all written by the same guy who covered the story for the Dallas Morning News, or what is it? Let me see. The DallasNews.com, who covered the whole story from start to finish basically. And there is a picture of the vault box clock hybrid, like the inside of it or whatever. You can actually see it on our Facebook page. If you're already on our Facebook page, we posted the link to the story a few days ago, and in the covering of that story, we did post a picture of the clock just so people could see it.
Yeah.
Just so they could make up their own opinions about it. What I loved is that we had all kinds of opinions on the Facebook page, including people like Chris, who is a teacher. We had Carolyn, who I think she said she's a former teacher, and a lot of people had a lot of different opinions about it. Some people thought they could see how someone would look at that and think it might be a bomb. Other people were saying it was ridiculous and all that. So I think that's a good thing. I think when people can actually see the box itself and maybe make up their own opinion about it. But I will say, if this happened like I know everybody's going to say we can look at the clock. It's obviously doesn't have any explosives or whatever. It certainly doesn't look like it. I will say if you were on a plane.
Okay.
And there's a Middle Eastern looking guy or whatever sitting there, and all of a sudden, before the flight takes off or whatever, there's a beeping noise coming from him. And they, out of his pack, out of his carry-on luggage or whatever, they pull out this same exact device and they open it up. It's got wires and there's a clock and all that. Do you think the general person would think oh, it's fine, it's just a clock or whatever, give it back to him or whatever? Or would they say, sir, you're going to have to come with us, we have to look into this? Or do you think people would freak out about that? Because I kind of think people would.
Okay, so let's think here.
Yeah.
If it happened before if the plane was still grounded.
Yeah. Or if it was it was in the air, whatever.
Well, if it's in the air, they can't take him anywhere.
Yeah, right. They can't take him anywhere. But
so if it's on the ground, they're going to definitely remove this person.
Yeah.
Regardless of skin color.
Yeah.
I do believe that.
Okay.
I do think that regardless of skin color.
So you think even if it was a white guy.
Yeah, if you have a contraption that resembles something like the pencil box clock, I do think that they would remove you from the airplane. But
then I would say, if you think that's the case, why is it wrong, for instance, that in the Ahmed Mohamed story?
I don't think it was wrong that he was removed from class.
But, that's what I'm saying. I'm posing that question, to the general public. I guess.
Sure. I understand why the school may have pulled him aside and had him go down to talk to authorities, but I just think that it was handled shitty.
Yeah.
If it was in the air, and I try and think of this because I have flown in planes, and if it was in the air, and this has gone off,
right?
People are going to freak out. But I also want to know, if the person says, "Calm down, everybody. This is just a clock. Yeah. It's just a clock," because I don't think a terrorist would be trying to soothe people by saying,
right, well,
"This is just a clock, and it's really a bomb."
Yeah.
By the time they're in the air, there's nowhere they can go.
Yeah.
If the guy's saying, calm down, it's just a clock, I promise you nothing's wrong, it's just a clock, and I don't know.
I agree with that, yeah. I guess my question is more posed to the people who, when they saw this story come out, immediately started, with the Islamophobia and the racism and everything. If you were on a plane, and Ahmed Mohamed is sitting there, and he starts beeping, and they pull this device out of his backpack or whatever, would people freak? I mean, the people who were saying that the school was racist and the police are racist or whatever else, would they have seen this and gone, that looks weird? We're gonna freak out about that. I think some people would freak out. I think, including the people who say that, that they think this was mishandled from the get-go. Obviously, this was not a bomb. The teachers are racist. The teacher's horrible, or whatever else. I think that even those people might have at least pause if they seen that on a plane. Right. They would think, "Uh-oh, what is that now?" So that's what. And the only reason I bring that up is just to say,
well, let me ask you this question.
Yeah.
Well, what if it was pre 9/11?
Yeah, if it's pre 9/11, I don't know if it would happen like that. But we're not pre 9/11, so
right. And this didn't happen on a plane.
Right. It didn't happen on a plane. Yeah, but we're talking about in a post 9/11 world where unfortunately these types of things happen. People are bringing shit into buildings and people bring stuff onto planes or whatever. Would this cause some alarm in a post 9/11 world?
Absolutely.
So that's what I'm saying. I can understand why it happened at the school.
But at the same time,
yeah.
I mean, it would be alarming to stewardess and stewards or whatever if you brought on a fucking thing of shampoo.
Yeah, I don't know.
You're not allowed to bring that type of stuff on the plane either.
Yeah, I agree that you're not allowed to bring pocket knives and all kinds of stuff on planes anymore. But I do think there is a difference if something is beeping and you pull it out and there's like a clock and some wires and stuff.
Sure.
I can see why people might freak out about that on a plane. I can see why people might freak out about that in a school. I can see why at least there was some concern.
I want to know why the engineering teacher didn't come to his rescue.
Yeah, I don't know. So yeah, and that's one of those elements of the story that
I would have said,
missing.
go talk to Mr. Such and Such or Mrs. Such and Such over the engineering department, and they will come down here and tell you that I built this just as a clock.
Yeah, and maybe they did. I mean, maybe the teacher didn't come out publicly or whatever, but maybe, in the course of the investigation, they did talk to the teacher, and that's why one of the reasons why they said this is there's nothing to this. You brought it to a teacher first. I don't know.
Yeah.
I would imagine that that's something they should have done. If Ahmed's saying that, I brought it to my engineering teacher first, obviously I would hope he would tell that to the police and to everybody else who was questioning him, and they could look into that further. But
I'm just going to say,
I don't know why it went as far as it did.
I'm just going to say that this is how I'm thinking of it, and this is going to be the emotional side of Bob speaking here.
Yeah.
Is that it didn't look like a bomb until a Muslim kid was holding it.
Okay.
And it magnified this perception that this kid is hoaxing a bomb.
Okay.
I honestly believe that.
But remember, you did say that if a white guy was holding that on a plane...
But we weren't in a plane.
I know that, but I'm saying, if a white guy was holding this on a plane...
Sure.
He would have been drug off the plane.
Yes, they would have asked him to leave.
So it maybe didn't have anything to do with his race if it was on a plane, but it definitely had something to do with his race if it was in the school.
Sure, I do believe that. I mean, these are totally different setups. These are totally different...
Well, I know they're totally different setups, but, one's in a school, one's in a plane, but, we're talking about, if it was... We're talking about races as well, so we have to at least bring that into it, I think.
Okay. I still think that this was something that was magnified because of his skin color and his name.
I don't disagree with you. I'm just saying we should, I don't, personally, I totally agree with you. If what Ahmed said is true, that when he walked into that room and they said, just who I thought it would be.
Yeah.
I could understand exactly why he would immediately think, uh-oh, here we go. I'm the Islamic, I'm a Muslim student. I have brown skin. I can understand immediately why he gets upset right away. So yeah, I think that the cops completely handled this the wrong way. I hope I made that clear. But yeah, I'm throwing out different scenarios just to see how people will react if it's a different scenario. If it's the same person, the same device, and all that, and how it would be perceived, I guess, if it was in different locations. If the same reaction would have happened in a school as if it was at a plane, whether it was different races. If it was a white guy on a plane or whatever holding the device, would we have freaked out as much as we would have if it would have been an Islamic guy? Would they have freaked out in the school if it was a white kid that something was beeping in his pocket? See, I don't know. I think that I can understand what you're saying, that if you're in school or whatever, it's an Islamic kid, he's got brown skin, and he's got a beeping device on him, whatever, they pull it out and they're like, oh, what the hell is this? Or, I could see why people would freak out, but did this get magnified because of the color of his skin? It may very well have.
I think it did.
Yeah, I think it probably did. I just, I can't say I know for sure because I don't know if what Ahmed said is exactly correct.
I think it got.
I have no reason to doubt him.
I think it got magnified.
Yeah.
Because after the story, I didn't hear of the story. I checked CNN constantly.
Yeah.
And I didn't read about this story until after they already realized it wasn't a bomb.
Yeah.
So the first thing that I've read about this story was teen gets kicked out of school because authorities think that clock is a bomb.
Okay.
So they already know that this kid, this Ahmed kid, was already arrested. He was already taken out of school because they thought he had a bomb, and it ended up being just the clock.
Right.
And so I didn't see like any lead up to the story. Oh, we just found out that it was. It was already pretty much done.
Yeah, generally when it's some story that's like happens in like some local area somewhere, it's like the story happens and like it seems like it takes a day or two before it like hits social media, because first it comes out on like DallasNews.com or whatever. Then people might see it and they go, oh, this is weird, and they start sharing it around.
Right.
But not until like it really blows up do people start passing it around, and then when it becomes viral and everyone's heard about it, by then the story's really already over.
Right.
So it's hard to react in the moment, but unless it was like a shooting or something. But since there was nothing involved in it, I guess it took a few days. But
another argument that I've been hearing a lot of is that people are saying, why don't they blame the parents? And I don't understand why the parents would be at fault for a kid.
Ahmed's parents?
Yeah.
Okay.
This is something that should have been handled by the parents. This is a parent issue that we should be blaming the parents. Why?
Are they saying that they should have never allowed him to leave the home with that device?
How do they know? How do they know what? Are you supposed to check your kid's book bag? A 14-year-old kid who's in high school, you're supposed
to. What
check
if he brought a gun?
Right.
Would they say, you should have known that they had a gun with them?
They probably would have.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't buy this whole we got to blame the parents every time the child does something that's, especially when I don't think that the kid, for all I fucking know, the parents were proud of his little invention. It's like, yeah, go take it to your engineering student.
That's exactly
your engineering teacher.
Exactly
how do I fucking know that didn't happen?
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. It's like, if you know that your kid builds stuff in his room or whatever, and it's just a clock inside of a fucking pencil case or whatever, I can understand why you wouldn't think that's a big deal. But
honestly, so I have 3 kids. If any one of my 3 kids came up to me and like, Dad, look what I did, I'd be like, that is fucking cool. It's like, I want to take it in to show Mrs. Stevenson.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
So I think they'll get a kick out of it.
You would think that would be the right thing to do, but then people will say, well, he is a dark-skinned man. He knows about Islamophobia. He knows he's a Muslim. Right. He should have known that this would cause a problem at the school.
And again, it would just lead to my point that racial profiling was a big thing in this.
Yeah.
And I have to say again, I don't have strict evidence to support that claim.
Right.
It's just something that I think happened.
Okay.
And
it probably did.
And it can
very
happen.
Well have.
And I think racial profiling can happen and you not know it happening.
Yeah.
You know that you don't know that you're actually racially profiling somebody.
We should do a story.
That stupid fucking comment is still ingrained in my head. Oh, I figured it would be somebody of this, or whatever was said.
So yeah, I don't actually doubt that happened at all, really. But since I don't know positively it happened, I guess I can never say. But I have no reason really to doubt his story that he walked in and the guy made some kind of snide comment or whatever. One day, let's do a story. We'll do a topic about racial profiling.
Okay,
whether or not profiling is good at all, because Sam Harris is definitely in the camp that, look, if you're getting on a plane or whatever, and they're going to be searching people, don't search the woman that looks like Betty White. She's not bringing the bomb on. Who's going to be bringing the bomb on is someone who looks like a Middle Easterner. And that leads us into this next story.
So, the other day at work, we were actually talking about the story.
Yeah.
And it was something very similar that you brought up. What if this happened to be on a plane?
Yeah, okay.
Okay. And this guy I work with, you've heard me refer to this guy before, who's like, the right-wing Christian.
Right.
Says to me that if I'm standing in an airport or I'm on a plane and I see a Muslim person come on, the very first thought in my head is, that guy better have been checked.
Yeah.
Because they do quote-unquote random checks at the airport.
Right.
It's not. It's racially profiled.
Well, is it really? Because, I know people will say that some of it is, but people complain all the time about, why is the grandma being checked?
They gotta give you the.
Why is this little kid being checked?
They gotta give you the illusion that it doesn't matter who you are.
Okay.
But I've never seen any one Muslim just get to go straight through.
Okay.
Sorry, I haven't seen it.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean that it doesn't happen. I have to say that. Okay. This is, again, emotional Bob speaking
so you're
on
saying,
this topic.
So like when you've gone through gone to get on planes or whatever, you've seen like every dark-skinned person get checked, and then occasionally they also check like the grandma or whatever.
Sure. Okay. Yeah. And again, I'm not some expert master.
No, I'm not. I'm just asking for your personal.
I've flown 10 times in my entire life.
Okay, so I've flown none. So
I'm not some big expert that hangs around airports that is observing this all the time.
But yeah, I'm not asking you for your expert opinion. I'm just asking you in your personal interactions with security, when you've been going through the security check or whatever, you've seen every dark-skinned person get checked, and then occasionally a grandma or whatever.
But I don't understand this idea that Betty White can't carry a bomb on a plane.
No, I understand.
Betty White can be white Caucasian and still, be converted to ISIS or whatever.
It certainly happened where there's been some, as they say, what was the one? American Taliban. It was that one guy. I remember the white guy, what was his name? Like John Walker Lind or whatever. I can't remember.
I can't remember his name.
Some white guy who got, as they say, radicalized.
Yeah.
That was back in the Taliban days. Now we're talking about ISIS, but anyway.
But anyway, so back to my story. So, he's going, if I'm sitting next to a Muslim and I was like, do you mean Muslim? I mean, because how can you tell, like, if somebody's just Middle Eastern and is a fucking Catholic? Because I know actually plenty of people that they came from Syria and they're here and they're Catholics, okay? And you look at the Middle Eastern person and the Muslim person, and you can't tell the fucking difference. Yeah, you don't know who's who.
I wouldn't, if I was sitting in a room and I seen, darker skinned people come on, or even light skinned people come into the room, I wouldn't know, that guy's a Muslim, that guy's a Sikh, that guy's a Buddhist, that guy's a Christian. I wouldn't know.
Because, Middle Eastern to them, like Muslim is a race.
Yeah.
And
so is Mike, or whatever his name is he just saying...
he doesn't like Middle Eastern people.
Okay, so just Middle Eastern people in general should be checked when they come on a plane. Okay.
And I said to him, I go, do you realize that Jesus Christ of Nazareth was Middle Eastern? I go, do you forget that he's not this Caucasian portrayal of this guy with the blonde hair, blue eyes. The blue eyes, the long golden hair, who's walking around in white clothes all day? I go, if Jesus existed, he didn't look like that. Okay. I said, the Jesus that you worship from the Bible came from the Middle East.
Yeah.
So then I can remember that there was something in some Christian news, they did a composite of the different stories in the areas of where Jesus would have lived and where he would have been born, of what he probably would have looked like. Now we know it can't be an actual portrayal, but his skin tone, maybe the muscle structure in the face, the hair color.
Yeah. How he would have worn his hair, blah, blah, blah.
Jesus probably would have wore a turban.
Yeah.
If he was real.
Okay.
He definitely would have, he'd look Middle Eastern.
Okay.
And so I found that picture.
He looked like Ahmed Mohamed.
He looked like, I found the picture. And I said, what's funny is that if this guy sat next to you on a plane and you didn't happen to know that it was Jesus, you would be praying in his name that he was checked at the gate.
Right.
So
which I think is just hilarious.
You believe in a God that you would be afraid to sit next to on a plane. I go, that cracks me up.
It's funny.
That cracks.
What did he say though to that?
So he looks at me.
If I was a Christian, or if I'm,
it was a 100%. I fucking got you now, buddy.
Okay.
And he fucking looks at me and he goes, "Well, my Lord and Savior wouldn't fly in a plane."
Oh!
He goes, "The Bible says that my Lord is coming down from the clouds."
Okay.
And I go, "Mike, play the hypothetical here."
Yeah.
I think that's the first time I've ever said it.
It's really all the hypothetical, right?
Yeah. I go, the hypothetical is you're on a plane. Jesus has come back, and somehow you've missed it. I'm not saying you're not going to go to heaven for this.
Maybe he comes down occasionally.
Yeah.
And just like scopes out the area. I'm like, maybe he feels like just interacting with the people. What if God was one of us?
Yeah.
Just a slob like one of us.
So
just a stranger on his way trying to make his way home.
Yeah. So God has come down. Jesus has come back. This is the second coming, man.
Yeah.
He's going to roam the earth for a little bit.
Yes.
I go, and for some reason, he's taking a plane from Toledo to California, and you're on the same plane.
Yeah.
And you don't know he's been back yet. This is his first day. He's not starting off with miracles. I go, just play the hypothetical. Would you want him checked at the gate?
Yeah.
And he goes, I'm not playing the hypothetical.
Ah.
I said, okay. I know you would want him checked.
And then when you told me about this, I said, why is he not playing the hypothetical when his entire scenario is based on a hypothetical?
Yeah, his entire premise started as, what if there was a Muslim at the airport? You would be wondering if they were checked.
Yeah.
And I said, maybe.
Okay.
I'm not going to sit here and play the card that I wouldn't.
Yeah.
But I typically don't.
I think we should be honest in these types of situations.
Yeah.
I think we should be honest all the time anyway. But yeah, especially in situations like this, nothing's really going to change until people start talking honestly.
Yeah. But,
just even bringing up the idea is considered racist or Islamophobic. It's a really sad situation.
Although I can honestly say that every time I've been at an airport and I've seen people just hanging around, I've never said, were they checked?
Okay.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I've never had that thought, but I can't sit here and say that I'm never going to think, if I'm standing next to a guy in a fucking turban, that I'm going to think, hope he was checked.
Okay.
I'm just saying that, to my knowledge, and I could have had that thought before, to my knowledge, I have not had that thought.
Okay. Well, you're a good liberal.
Yeah. So, we got into that whole argument, and I thought it fascinating. So I thought it was so fascinating because I actually never experienced this, and it actually kind of boggled my mind a little bit that I put that, because my dad is one of these people.
Okay.
Who is a person that's totally against, like, the Syrian refugees going to other countries. And he was actually one of the people I was talking about in my post, where I'm like, do you realize the people that you fear probably look like your Lord and Savior?
Interesting. What did he say?
They didn't say anything. Not one Christian.
If I was a Christian, I'd say
commented.
If I was a Christian, I was also scared of Middle Eastern people. Both these things were something that part of my personality or whatever. I'd say I would just be honest and say, yes, I do think he should have been checked. I don't know if it's Jesus. Yeah. I think
what that does, though, is that somehow
sets
convinced them that they're not a good Christian, and they wouldn't know the return of Jesus.
It does set up that dissonance in their brains, I imagine, that when they hear that, they're like, how am I going to get out of this now?
Yeah. So it just goes into I'm not playing your hypothetical.
Yeah, I'm not playing a hypothetical. My whole situation is based on a hypothetical, but I'm not playing your particular hypothetical.
And so, and I'm relentless.
Okay.
So for like the whole rest of the day, I'm sitting there going, well, hey, I'm not the one that would be afraid of Jesus on the plane. So, because...
like I do with you with the bugs. Like, I don't need bugs.
Yeah, I don't need bugs. or if I have an argument and for some reason you can't counter, you'd be like, well, you know what? You eat bugs.
That's my favorite thing to do.
Yeah, and that's the end of the conversation.
Now you can say to him, well, I'm not the one who would be afraid of Jesus on a plane.
But I thought that was fascinating.
It was, I thought it was, when you told me that story, I was laughing.
Yeah, I thought it was great.
I was laughing about that, especially when he said, when his comeback, the out he tried to use was, my Lord and Savior wouldn't fly on a plane. How do you know Jesus isn't back already, man?
Yeah. How do you know he's just not scoping the land?
I saw this show, I used to watch this show called The Stranger, where Jesus came back in he didn't look like Jesus. He looked like, just a bum on the street, or, a black kid at the wherever, he took different forms or whatever, and then basically when you were mean to that kid or that bum or whatever, you didn't stop and talk to him or whatever, then Jesus would come out and say, that was me. And how you treat them is how you treat me. So
right.
Basically, and then they change and everything is fine or whatever. So I watched a few episodes of that. It's the same thing here. How would he know that's not Jesus?
Yeah.
Anyway.
So, yeah. I also had a very interesting conversation, and it kind of goes back to the story of the Kim Davis.
Okay.
And I thought this was a fantastic conversation. I immediately told you because I was so livid that that this conversation had happened, and it's something that I do want to bring up because I do notice a lot of Christians do this. People like Mike Huckabee do this. I remember last week we covered the story of the Muslim stewardess that got fired. She got laid off for 12 months.
Suspended without pay.
Without pay.
Which is like a good way of saying.
And then it will come back.
A new job,
we'll come back in a year.
Means.
We'll come back in a year and decide if we want to keep you for employment.
We can fire you anytime in the next 12 months.
Yeah.
That basically is telling you, go find another job, bitch. That's what it's saying. We're suspending you without pay for 12 months.
Yeah.
So if you can live without money for 12 months.
Yeah. So, and we brought up the idea that we didn't see any Cruzes or Huckabees or anybody out there protesting for in her honor, saying religious freedom, because what we mean is Christian freedom.
That's what seems like the Huckabees and the Cruzes of the world mean.
So we had the GOP debate, the second one, last week, and Mike Huckabee decided that he was going to go on some tangent and talk about how he thinks that people in this industry of law should have the right, based on their belief in their religion, to say, basically have like I don't know the word I'm looking for, but basically be able to say, I'm not going to sign that, somebody else can sign in my name.
Okay, so they want like a religious accommodation.
Yes, exactly. That's the word I'm looking for. They want accommodation for these people. And this guy in the lunchroom asked me, how do I feel about that? I said, absolutely not. I said, I think Kim Davis is a bigot. I think that she should be impeached because I think that if you are not capable of upholding all of the qualifications of your job, you shouldn't be employed. Okay? I said the same thing about the stewardess. If she's not going to stand up to the qualifications of her job, if her job says that she has to serve somebody alcohol, I don't give a damn about your religious belief. you need to serve that person alcohol.
Okay.
If you get fired from it, then that's because you didn't stand up to the qualifications of the job. I have no problem with that.
Okay.
I really don't.
Yeah, even last week we talked about there's actually in the Civil Rights Act, Title VII of the Civil Rights Act gives people this accommodation up to a certain point, basically.
Right. Yeah.
As long as you're not
infringing on.
As long as you're not, causing such a hardship to the employer that it costs them, a substantial amount of money, basically. If it's just something simple, they can change around job duties or whatever for that one particular thing, as the JetBlue or whatever the stewardess's employer did. They changed, during alcohol delivery, you do this, and then somebody else will do the alcohol delivery. That was fine for apparently quite a while until somebody complained or whatever.
So I said that I think that she should be impeached, because I still do.
Yeah. And that's probably not going to happen.
Probably not. But basically, I got into this discussion that I said, well, let's just break it down. I want an argument, and I don't want your answer to be because it's yucky. Why is homosexuality such a bothersome to you personally, not in general? I want to know from you.
So are you saying not because of what the Bible says, or are you just saying they can use the Bible?
They can use the Bible. Okay. But I know what they're going to first off say, and it's the same thing that everybody that is against homosexual marriage says before they go to the Bible, is they say, well, it's not natural, or it's because it's gross.
Okay.
And the very first thing somebody says in the lunchroom is because it's gross. All right? They actually said, I'll tell you why, because it's fucking nasty. And I said, okay, so we are going to go with it's yucky and I don't like it.
It's nasty, it's yucky, yeah.
And I said, because
I don't like imagining gay people having sex, so therefore they shouldn't be allowed to have sex or get married. I get it.
And I said, I think it's fucking nasty and yucky when people chew food with their mouth open, but I'm not going to sit here and say that you should not be able to eat.
Understood. I agree with you.
And I said, so just give me a reason. I mean, when you're at home, and in the lunchroom we get kind of vulgar, I'm like, you're at home and you're fucking your wife, are you thinking about Sam and Mike having sex? Because if you do, you got bigger issues.
Yeah, right.
Because I don't think 2 men and 2 women having sex has any bearing on your life whatsoever. And I go, and let's be honest, when we talk about homosexual marriage, because I'm in a lunchroom of men.
Okay.
I said, let's just be honest, when we're talking about homosexual marriages, everybody in here is thinking of guys, because everybody in this fucking lunchroom has yanked it to lesbian porn at least one time in their life. And not a person said a fucking word. Except for the guy I'm talking to, of course. Not me. I think it's nasty. And then somebody ended up calling him out, like, I'm not going to say his name. Dude, we've watched lesbian porn together on my phone.
You weren't supposed to call me out.
Like, I'm not saying that he yanked it, but what I'm saying is that he's gotten physical enjoyment from watching 2 women kiss, or 2 women go down on each other, or whatever.
It is interesting how much the anti-gay lobby, or whatever of the world, whether that's the Ted Cruz's and the Mike Huckabees of the world, or even the people in your lunchroom or whatever at work, how much they think about gay sex.
I know,
they're not gay, but they think about it all the time.
All the time.
I'm not saying that makes them gay. I'm just saying, just don't think about it. Yeah. If it's not something that you're going to engage in, or it's not interesting to you, why are you constantly thinking about it?
And you know what? I think if we would just allow homosexuals to get married, which we do now, applaud, that conversation should just go away. Because, it's not going to be brought up at the lunch table. Like, what do you think about gay marriage? Yeah. It's already marriage.
Yeah, right.
So I'm just saying that by legalizing it, it takes a big chunk of your dinner table conversation.
You can't say it's not legal anymore. Yeah. Because it's definitely legal.
And so finally, it comes down to, after I did the whole, it's yucky, it comes down to, it's my belief in the Bible. It goes like, look, I'm a Christian, and I just, based on the Bible, I don't think this should happen. And I said, I'm just going to have to disagree with you, and I'm sorry, I think that is just absolutely ignorant and stupid.
Okay.
That you're going to judge somebody based on your religion that you don't know, and you want to take away rights from them. Yeah. I go, because if Kim Davis stood up there and said that, I think that a white person and a black person shouldn't get married, we would all be standing here hand in hand saying, you're a bigot and you need to be impeached. And I go, and in 25 years from now, and because I understand this is still new, when somebody tries to say that they don't want a homosexual couple to get married, or a same-sex couple to get married, we're going to actually be in disbelief that you're going to actually sit here and try and say that these 2 people can't get married.
Yeah, the same thought we have now about people who say, a black man and a white woman shouldn't be married. It's the same thought we're going to have. Yeah. Like, we have that. What are you even talking about?
Yeah,
it's the same reaction we're going to have in 25 years. And that's the general public's reaction going to be when people say, I don't think 2 men or 2 women should be able to be married.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then somehow this turned into like a back and forth about the First Amendment. and I wasn't expecting it to go there. Like, this is my belief, and basically, how dare you criticize it? And I said, I don't care if it's your belief. I think it's stupid.
When did this memo get signed?
Yeah.
When did this piece of legislation get signed that I have a belief, you can't criticize it?
Yeah.
We criticize beliefs all day. Yeah. Not just religious beliefs, political beliefs, any belief really, any opinion, belief, they're all subject to be criticized. Yeah. Why is it just the religious belief people think is off limits?
So I say to him, he says to me, he goes, listen, you're trying to push your belief system off on me. I'm not doing that to you. I said, you just said that you think a person should have an accommodation to not marry homosexuals. And that belief strictly comes from the Bible. Therefore, your belief is infringing on other people.
Okay.
So I don't understand how you can sit here and make the argument that you're not pushing my belief on you. You absolutely are. Yeah. By not allowing two people that love each other to get married.
Yeah, once you do the action of not giving the marriage license, your belief is in fact...
Yes, being pushed off on somebody else.
Okay.
Because they'll say, I don't hate you. I just don't agree with your lifestyle. Therefore, my belief says that I can't issue you this marriage license. Yeah. That is your belief being pushed off on somebody else. And then we went back and forth, and I said what you said. I said, I don't care if if you're going to try and use the belief system on me, I'm going to tell you right now that won't work because I don't care about your belief system, and I will tell you I think it's stupid. He goes, well, I'll tell you I think yours is stupid. I go, that's fine.
That's called the First Amendment.
I said, that's what I said. I go, that's the First Amendment there, guy. I go, you're allowed to tell me my belief is stupid, but I don't care if it's your religious belief. It's not mine. I think it's stupid. Okay. And he's like, well, I don't have to sit here and take this. I said, there's the fucking door.
Damn.
He goes, well, I'm not going to leave. I go, I'm not going to leave either. And then I guess that happened at break. And then we went back at lunch. He didn't say a fucking word to me. Okay. He hasn't said a fucking word to me since that argument happened. That happened on Thursday.
Now, what if you get in these debates again one day and the guy's like, you know what, I'm telling management on you. You're harassing me. I want this conversation to be over. And
if he said, no, dude, conversation's done,
okay.
I would stop.
Okay.
I'm not going to keep going after, because I know that those are sensitive topics.
Yeah.
And, I wasn't afraid that was going to happen because he's a fucking loudmouth anyway.
All right.
And for some reason, nobody stands up to this guy. And, I had like 3 or 4 people wait behind him in the lunchroom. And they're like, wow, I've never seen anybody talk to him like that. like he's the dad of the company or something.
I guess so.
But it was just phenomenal. Funny. I don't get this whole, I can't criticize your belief.
Yeah, because it's my belief. Because it's my religious belief, specifically.
Yeah.
No one ever says, you can't criticize my belief as a Democrat or a Republican or, a Libertarian or whatever, because it's my belief. Yeah. No one says that.
Yeah.
But the second it's about, especially religion, the second it's about religion, there will be people who will say, you can't criticize my belief.
Yep. And then another thing that happened after that is that I asked the other guy back in my room after this had happened, and we were talking about what had happened, and I was bringing up the Kim Davis story again. And I said, I'm just interested in knowing, would you agree, if we got, I know that you think President Obama's a real Muslim. I go, which is nonsensical. I go, but let's say that we elected the very first actual Quran-reading Muslim as president.
Okay.
And he sanctioned Sharia law on the United States.
And obviously this is a hypothetical.
This is a hypothetical. The guy that doesn't like to play hypotheticals.
Okay.
He indulged me in this one.
Okay. This one was his red meat.
Yeah.
He loved attacking this one.
And he was like, absolutely I would be against it. And I was like, we're declaring holy wars in other countries. Yeah. We're chopping people's heads off because of their religion. And I go, but what if it was a peaceful religion? And they were just saying, we're going to just, if you commit a crime big enough, we are going to look to the Quran for answers to punish you.
Right.
Would you be against it? He goes, absolutely. And I go, because it's Muslim and Sharia law? And he goes, well, yeah. I go, but you have no qualms with looking to the Bible when it goes against your belief system. So, this woman, Kim, is not obeying the judge or obeying the Supreme Court by issuing these people licenses because of her religious belief, but you want accommodations for her because you think that the Bible is bigger than the law. How is this not Sharia law but for Christians?
Okay, I see what you're saying. Yeah. and I agree with you. I mean, this is why I think religious people in general, whether they're Christians or Muslims or Jewish or whatever religion you may be, if you're living in the United States, you should be happy that it's a secular government.
Right.
You shouldn't want any one particular religious group to take to have power, because if they did, if it was a government based on religion, I think we'd see a lot more interreligious violence than we do now.
I don't think they realize it, because I totally agree with you. So let's just say we're going to play the hypothetical. We get.
I mean, obviously, it's crazy to do that.
It's
I wouldn't want
crazy
to do
to do
that,
this, yes.
and even if there wasn't a possibility at all of interreligious violence.
Yes.
I would still say it's ridiculous. You can't put one religion over another. It's just, that's not the way we do things here, and I'm glad we don't do things like that.
I'm just saying
that's why we have religious freedom.
I think that if we were somehow to create some type of Christian Sharia law in the United States, and let's just say it was sanctioned by the Catholics.
Okay.
Catholics are the dominating force of Christianity
in the United
States.
The Pope is coming here to the United States.
The Pope has...
He's going to be speaking before Congress.
Yes.
So the Pope comes in.
The Pope gets in. Pope is Congress. He is House of Representatives.
He gets into Obama's ear. He's like, Barack, here's what we're doing. We're going to start.
Barack is just a puppet for the Pope.
I knew it. I knew it all along.
And we are strict Roman Catholic from the Vatican. Right. That is our government.
Joe Biden is a Roman Catholic. He would then instantly rise to the top. Okay.
But I said, what I think would happen is after a while, there would be infighting within the Christian community, because there already is.
Yeah, there already.
I've already seen born again say, "Well, you're not a Christian. You're a Lutheran."
How many different sects of Christianity are there?
Which would then start wars between the different Christians.
Yeah, I think so. I think that would certainly cause a problem amongst religious.
You're not a real Christian. I'm the real Christian.
The reason we have religious freedom in the country, which I think is a good thing. I'm glad that there's religious freedom. The reason we have religious freedom is because we are a secular government.
Yes.
If we weren't, whoever was in power would completely eliminate everybody else's power. I think that's why it's good that we're in a secular society. But anyway,
but this is the fear that people like my father have of these Syrian refugees going to like Germany and going to different parts of the European continent, and I think we're actually bringing some to the United States.
I know Obama and John Kasich on the Republican side are both in agreement that we should take on, like, I think he said 10,000 or something.
Yeah. And so basically what they're afraid of is they're afraid of this be fruitful and multiply, because studies have shown that intellectuals are actually not producing as many kids as, for example, Muslim families or Catholic families. And it takes a certain amount of reproduction to actually sustain a culture.
Yeah.
Okay, so if the intellectuals are having, 1 to 2 kids as opposed to a Catholic family who's having 14, that the Catholic family will, basically overpower the...
Man, there's some horrors over there.
Yeah. and so
really
basically what they're saying is that, the majority of Europe is secular, is my dad's argument, and that when you start letting in the Muslims, they're going to start reproducing at such a fast rate that within, 4 or 5 generations, they're going to start electing Muslim officials into to their government, and then these continents and these countries that are nuclear, will be having Muslims at the hand of being able to push one of these buttons to launch a nuke. That is their ultimate fear.
See, I don't think that's going to happen, because I already know that the Jews control the world.
And I just want to go ahead and state that I found out 2 weeks ago I'm Jewish.
That's right. You are part.
You
are part of the New World Order.
I am.
Are you in the Bilderberg group by any chance?
I'm in that group where we burn the owl.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Great stuff.
Yeah.
All right. Moving on, then.
Okay, let's move on.
Move on to, this is only our 3rd story of the day. We're already over an hour and a quarter. All right. Bernie Sanders recently visited this is going to be, I guess, another...
Who I hope gets the presidential nomination.
All right. So Bernie Sanders, of course, as people know, is running for president. He's polling well in some of the early states that will have primaries, like New Hampshire and Iowa and that kind of stuff. So Hillary Clinton's probably, her knees are wobbling a bit. She's thinking, 8 years ago I tried to run, and then this black guy came out of nowhere and beat me, and now here's this old fart that's and now he's beating me. Both times I'm supposed to be the presumptive nominee, and each time I'm getting challenged a lot more than I thought. But anyway, so Bernie Sanders, who is a outspoken democratic socialist, visited the very evangelical Liberty University. Liberty University, they're very evangelical. They make no bones about that. He gave a talk at Liberty University talking about, he was basically using his same platform but trying to apply it with the Bible. So he's saying, the Bible says this, and this kind of matches up to what I'm saying. You should basically join my side or whatever. And what happened was the students of Liberty University basically didn't give him. He didn't win many converts there.
Mm-hmm.
He did have some people there that were applauding for him, although I heard it was a lot of those people were people who were coming like from out of town, who were like basically following along with the Sanders campaign.
Sure.
Who came from outside of Liberty University and they were giving him applause and everything. The Liberty University students, while they disagreed with him on basically everything he said, from all indications, is that they did warmly applaud. When he came out, when he would make a policy suggestion or whatever, they would give him like tepid applause or whatever. They weren't going like they weren't freaking out, but they were like politely applauding, just saying like yes.
So liberals weren't storming the stage and taking the microphones and
that was the exact point I had here is like, even though while many of the students of Liberty University didn't agree with his views, and in fact thought he was overstepping the bounds of a government they want. Like, for instance, they were saying, yes, I do believe we should help the poor. For instance, one of their counter-arguments was like, I agree with Bernie that we should help the poor. I just don't want the government doing it. I think that's the job of the church. Mm-hmm. So that was their argument. So while many of the students at Liberty University completely disagreed with what Bernie Sanders was saying, by and large, they disagreed with his policy suggestions and all that, I did think that, from all indications, they were respectful.
Yes.
And I thought, wow, why don't liberals and progressives take a lesson from the Christians at Liberty University, the evangelicals?
Yeah.
Because we see so often in liberal circles, they go to like a liberal college or whatever, or a college that's predominantly liberal. Or
and
whatever.
What we do, we protest so that people can't speak.
Right. So Condoleezza Rice is going to speak at such and such university. Well, let's protest. Yeah. Let's get her kicked out. All this.
Bill Maher
is going to speak at a college, by the way, that was at the forefront of the free speech movement. Yeah. We're not going to allow Bill Maher to speak here. We don't like his views on Islam. Yeah. So we don't want him to speak. We think he's a horrible racist or whatever. Ayan Hirsi Ali. I don't even know. Certainly someone who came from a Muslim background, had the whole female genitalia mutilation. Underwent that. Speaks out now harshly against Islam and all that. She's not allowed to speak because they don't like her views.
No, they take back her honorary PhD.
They give her an honorary PhD at oh god, I forget the college now. But anyway, they give her an honorary PhD and they take it back. Yep. They say, okay, well you can't have it now, but you're allowed to come and do like a round table with us. And she said, fuck you.
Yeah.
So I just think like the way that the students at Liberty University behaved is how I think the students at these liberal colleges, the progressive secular colleges or whatever, should behave. If a speaker there has views which you disagree with, that's completely fine. No one says you have to agree, but you can disagree in such a way. You can disagree without saying we have to disinvite that person.
Yes.
Or while they're speaking, we're going to have a large section of us get up and shout them down.
Yes.
Like, it's ridiculous. It's stupid. I went to a Michael Moore rally years and years ago. Remember when he was doing that slacker uprising?
Yeah.
When George Bush was on the verge of getting reelected? Okay, go ahead.
This is a Jason story.
This is a quick Jason story.
You can hold the.
Okay. Just as a quick aside about how people try to shout each other down. I went to a Michael Moore rally years ago when George Bush was going through re-election. And Michael Moore and a bunch of other people, including Gloria Steinem and Tom Morello and a bunch of other people, came to Toledo trying to get young people to sign up to register to vote against George W. Bush or whatever. Well, during that rally or whatever you want to call it, a group of people who were pro George Bush and anti John Kerry, I guess at the time, stood up and tried to shout and tried to get the speakers on the stage to basically stop talking. In those types of scenarios, I think, get those fucking people out of there. Everybody here paid or, drove here to see this rally or whatever. You can disagree outside, or we can have, conversations about it during the rally or, afterwards or whatever. But the whole idea that we're going to shout and try to disrupt everything so that you can't speak anymore is that's against, to me, the philosophical side of free speech. Let people talk, right? Let them have their say if they, have the mic or whatever. And I think it's the same thing, So I personally am in favor of what the Liberty University students did. They're basically saying, yeah, we disagree. We can disagree, amongst ourselves. We can disagree with Bernie Sanders. We can have that conversation. But while he's up there, we're at least going to be respectful of the guy. He's been invited by the school. We're going to be respectful of his appearance and his right to speak. But that doesn't mean we have to disagree with him. We're not going to try to rescind his invitation, or we're not going to try to organize something that we're not going to try to organize some type of disruption that will get him taken off the mic or whatever. So to me, and I don't know if Bob agrees.
I agree.
Bob agrees. Okay. All right. And he's back, ladies and gentlemen. He's back from his urination. Are you back?
Yeah.
Are you excited?
I'm very excited.
Are you now comfortable?
No.
Okay.
Never comfortable.
All right. So that's my thoughts. Do you have any further thoughts?
No.
All right, then we'll move on.
I do agree that we need to take a...
Could we take a lesson?
At least be respectful to the opposing side.
We could take a lesson, I think.
I think
from
we could definitely take a
university
lesson.
people. Yeah, they tepidly applaud. Okay.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, she said that. All right, thank you. Or whatever.
Bring
But
in
we're
Marco
gonna
Rubio.
disagree when the newspaper report, when the reporters are in. We're gonna tell them why we disagree. We're gonna try to talk to Bernie later if he wants to talk to the students. We're gonna talk to him about it. But what we're not going to do is try to disinvite him from the university, before he even gets here. And we're not going to organize any type of effort to, while he's on stage going, "You shut up!" and try to disrupt the whole scenario or whatever. That's where I think we should take a lesson. I think from the Christians and from the conservatives, I guess, when it comes to college speaking, at least. All right. Here's another hot button topic.
Okay.
I want your opinion on this first, because you were the one who was kind of telling me about it first. I'd heard about it, but I hadn't seen the video. And the video is, "Dear Fat People."
Oh, okay.
You've heard of this.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people have heard of it. Let me see if I can read. Okay, so what happened was this woman named Nicole Arbor, who is I've seen her called a YouTube star. Apparently she makes a lot of these videos, different videos, puts them on YouTube or whatever, and does whatever. Anyway, so the one she did recently was called "Dear Fat People." And she... as it says here on etonline.com, it says she's fired up quite a bit of controversy since the release of the video, which many have dubbed as fat shaming. And now it appears the backlash has cost her a job.
Okay.
So you saw the video.
Right.
Can you talk about basically what it was about, what she said, that kind of thing?
So basically what the video is that this woman, what's her name again? Nicole? Mm-hmm. Nicole is on this video and she's going on this tangent about basically how she does not think it's cool to be fat these days.
Okay.
And then, there's these people that are basically obese and humongous, and they're saying basically, "Look at my body, it's beautiful."
Yes.
And her argument is, it's not beautiful, it's unhealthy. Stop being fat.
Okay.
And she uses this I'm gonna go ahead and say it how they would say it, this hatred or this derogatory talk to the fat people, or fat community, or whatever you want to call it. Under the guise of "I really care."
Okay.
Or that's what she's trying to say. She's using this shock entertainment basically to say, and the reason why I'm being so hateful to you is because maybe it will get you off your butts to do some exercise, because I actually want you to stick around this country a lot longer than you will.
Yeah, I think that was one of the last lines in the video, because we were actually talking about this on the way back to my house from the show last week.
Yeah.
And I said I hadn't seen the video yet, but I'd heard all kinds of hubbub over it. So yeah, I think I ended up watching the video that day, then last Sunday, and I watched it, and yeah, her last line, or one of her last lines, is something like, "Don't misunderstand what I'm saying. I love everybody.
Yeah.
But the reason I'm doing this is because I want people who are overweight to lose weight, so that way they'll be around longer than they would without losing weight or whatever." So yeah, I watched the video. I know she's supposed to be a comedian or whatever. I didn't actually particularly find it really funny. I mean, there was a moment or two in there where I kind of went or whatever while watching it or whatever. So I didn't think it was funny. I guess I can see why some people consider this to be fat shaming, or to be particularly I guess she was saying shitty things or whatever. I don't know. I guess I can see why people said that, but overall, speaking as a fat person myself, I agree with her. I've been in conversations with friends before about this type of thing. Look, I'm fat. I know that I'm fat. Mm-hmm. And I know that because of my obesity, I'm going to have certain health problems that are going to cause me to probably live a lot less longer than other people. I'm at more of a risk of heart disease, of heart attack,
cholesterol.
Exactly.
Yeah, okay. Diabetes.
2 years ago, I had a physical done. I got a new doctor. The first thing I did when I seen the doctors go through a full physical. They did blood work. We did everything you would do normally in a physical. We sat there and talked about lifestyle and all that kind of stuff. Leading up to that physical, I trained by eating a barbecue chicken pizza. All right, so I didn't really take it that seriously. I went through the physical and everything, and I was completely fine. I mean, they couldn't find anything wrong with me. My blood work was all fine. My cholesterol, blood sugar, everything. Everything came back normal. But the doctor said, look, we're glad everything came back normal, but as you get older, you probably will start suffering things, even just things like back pain.
Yeah.
You might have back pain. You're at increased risk for this, on and on. As you get older, these things start mounting up. You might be fine now because you're still relatively young, but as you get older, things may start to pile up.
Let me tell you, I've watched you walk around Lilydale.
Yes.
You start to trail behind after about 5 minutes.
It's not 5 minutes. I have really bad shoes for walking, for one thing. I will say, yes, I'm not exactly the most fleet of foot. And I'm not certainly not the most athletic person.
You're built like a top.
I'm built like a tank.
So you start like this,
I'm built
and
like
then
a
you
pear.
go like this.
I'm built like a pear.
Yeah.
Okay, so speaking as a fat person, and I have no qualms about saying that, yes, I am fat. I agreed with what she was, the basic of, her basic argument, which is that, fat people are unhealthy, don't glorify being overweight, is something that I actually agree with. I've had conversations before with friends about this. I've seen like Instagram pages of people who are like 500, 600 pounds wearing bikinis or, skimpy outfits or whatever, like swimsuits or whatever, taking pictures and go like, oh, I'm big and beautiful and all this, and people are like liking it 1,000 times and saying, oh, you go girl, or yeah, boy, all this stuff. I don't do that. I would never, I'm not going to glorify it. I mean, there's nothing to glorify about being obese. Whether people think it's beautiful or not, I guess, is a different story. I mean, if you're attracted to that kind of thing, that's fine. I don't have any problems with that. Honestly, I wish more people were attracted to obese people. Things like dating wouldn't be so difficult for people like me. But to glorify it when you know that condition is unhealthy, I don't understand why glorify unhealthy behavior. I'm not saying shame it. I'm not saying make fun of them. I certainly wouldn't want to be made fun of all the time, and I don't make fun of anybody else for that kind of thing or for other things. Fat people.
Basically, what you're saying though is like right now people aren't going around after we know all of the unhealthy effects of smoking. Yeah. We don't see. They're definitely not glamorizing smoking like they once did in the 40s and the 50s or whatever. You're not seeing. We're seeing commercials that show you the ill effects of smoking as opposed to the cowboy smoking a cigarette.
Yeah, I know of workplaces. My mom actually works at a workplace where they say there is no smoke. If you are a smoker, you cannot work here.
Yep, that was the same place, the same stipulation at my wife's old employment.
Yeah, because she works in like a medical.
She worked at she worked for Vision Associates, the eye doctor place, and you couldn't be a smoker at home. Right. This wasn't just something that they employed over at. There's no smoke breaks. You can't go out to your car and smoke. You can't leave the property to go smoke. If we find out you are a smoker, we will fire you. Yeah,
and I didn't know if I agreed with that exact stipulation. I understand the no smoking on the premises. You can't go into your car and smoke. No smoking in this quadrant here.
Well, if you have an entire workforce or work field or whatever that is not smoking, your insurance premiums are lower. Yeah. You don't have to pay as much as insurance.
Yeah. But what I don't see is them doing the same thing for overweight people. If they said, you can't be overweight and work here, I think people would actually be angry about that. It seems like smokers are the one class that you can kick around and no one really seems to care. I'm not a smoker myself, but...
Oh, I'm not a smoker myself, but I'm one of these people where I do say, do you want to be a smoker? I don't fucking care.
Yeah, I'm the same way, yeah. So I don't care if people are smokers or whatever. It doesn't really... I guess it doesn't bother me maybe as much as it does other people.
I typically don't go places where there's a bunch of people smoking.
Nor would I, yeah. But so I guess what I'm saying is like...
I do, however, have to do a show with your fat ass.
This is what I'm talking about with the fat shaming that goes on, Nicole? You see? But it seems like smokers is like, okay, so I said that I don't agree with, if someone's fat or whatever, I don't think you should make fun of them all the time. I'm not saying you should shame them. Every fat person knows they're fat, all right? I'm guaranteeing you right now. And
chances are they don't feel too great about it.
And they probably don't feel great about it. So I'm not saying go around making fun of people. Just like smokers know that when they're smoking, they're harming their lungs. Yeah. But that doesn't mean you should go up to them and go, why don't you light up another one? When they're coughing.
All the time.
Yeah. So I don't do that. I don't try to like ridicule. I don't drive by smokers who are out huddled up in the cold smoking and go and make fun of them or whatever. But I think they know that they're causing themselves harm, just like the average obese person knows that they're causing themselves health issues by being obese. that their knees are going to start hurting, that maybe they already are hurting, maybe their feet will hurt more, their back, or they'll have more serious health complications like heart disease or cholesterol problems or whatever else. So just as far as this whole controversy went, I didn't understand why people were so angry. I guess if they're just angry at her jokes that weren't good, or that they felt she was fat shaming or whatever, I guess I sort of get that. But like, to have it be so bad that apparently she got fired from a job that she was working at. Here's what happened with that anyway. This director named Pat Mills, he told Zap to It that he fired Arbor, who was hired to help with choreography for a dance film called Don't Talk to Irene. Apparently that was the name of the movie. Now, he's saying, we're making a dance movie, so obviously we needed a choreographer. This is Pat Mills speaking. He said, we met with a woman who not only did traditional dance choreography, but was a cheerleader as well. She was fun and nice and had a lot of energy. This is what Mills told the website in the statement. It says, Arbor told me she had a YouTube channel and identified as a YouTuber. She seemed like a perfect fit for the project. I shared the script with her. She said she dug it and was excited to come on board. So everybody was fine. They liked her and all this. After he saw the video, Dear Fat People, he basically said, look, I'm gay. I was bullied a lot as a kid. So he says, I'm no stranger to ridicule and loneliness. And he said, after viewing the video, Dear Fat People, he said, basically, not only did I not want her to be a part of my movie, I never wanted to see her again in my entire life. And I thought, wow. Right. He wants to wipe her completely from his existence because she made this video or whatever. So I watched the video, and yeah, like I just said, as a person who is overweight, as a fat person myself, I wasn't offended by the video. Maybe it's because I'm just not offended. I don't generally go around being offended.
I actually love what you said to me. When you got home, you texted me about an hour later. I just watched the Dear Fat People video. I have to say that I actually agree with everything she says, and I'm so not offended, I'm going to eat a piece of pizza.
That is what I forgot about that. I always like being funny. Yes, I was so unoffended by what she said. I went to the kitchen and ate a slice of pizza. It is true. I actually did do that. So yeah, I wasn't offended at all. And my only real point in all this is that stop glorifying unhealthiness. I'm not saying, that doesn't mean I agree with going around shaming people or trying to hurt people's feelings because they're fat or they're whatever. Don't make fun of people, but don't glorify it either. Yeah. Don't glorify their obesity or their... I don't think that helps. That doesn't help them at all.
I think we were talking one time and you said something along the lines of there was a story of this bigger gentleman who was on a dance floor dancing.
Yeah.
And people started making fun of him, started pointing fingers and laughing. And there was a group of very good-looking women who said that, what this guy did was beautiful. I think we should all have a party, or we should all go to like a prom or a homecoming or some type of dance with him and all dance with him.
Yeah, I'll tell you what happened. There was this video that was online of this guy who was a pretty big guy, and he was kind of like dancing along to like some music at a club or whatever, right? He's like bobbing his head and kind of like, doing some moves or whatever.
And there were probably better moves than I could ever do.
Oh, probably, yeah. I mean, certainly for me. And I guess people started kind of like like laughing at him or whatever, and he felt ashamed of dancing then. So he stopped, and he didn't look like he was having any fun anymore. And that video kind of went online. Some women from around the world, very attractive, beautiful women, saw this video, and they said, let's do something for that guy. Let's find out who he is, find out where he is or whatever. We will go to him and have a dance party specifically for him. It'll be a bunch of hot girls surrounding this one big, giant, fat guy.
Yeah.
And we're going to have a dance party. He's going to feel like $1 million or whatever. So that's what they did, and I thought it was a very nice thing.
Yeah.
But what I told you is like, how many of those girls slept with him afterwards?
Yeah, or how many offered to be his girlfriend?
I'm guessing 0. I'm guessing he did not get laid that day. and I guess we can talk about that then, like the whole idea of like body positivity or whatever.
Uh-huh.
I've not yet met anybody. I'm not saying they don't exist by any means, but by and large, most of the body positive people I've met who say things like, we should accept everybody for who they are. Everybody's beautiful in their own way. It doesn't matter if they're fat or whatever, have some type of horrible deformity or whatever. Everybody's beautiful.
But I guess that message is a good message, though.
No, yeah, I'm not saying it's a bad message.
Yeah, I would prefer my children think that everybody is, it doesn't matter what they look like or their shape or size. I want you to be respectful to everybody.
Yeah, they have some value,
Yeah.
They can have some, they're not horrible people because they have a deformity. They're not horrible people because they're fat or smokers or whatever other thing they have or whatever that causes people to criticize them. So yeah, everybody has value. Nobody's beneath dignity, in other words. But yeah, like so far every body positive person I've met, I asked them like, how many guys would you say you've dated throughout your years? And they'll be like, oh yeah, I've dated like 8 guys before I met my current boyfriend or my husband or whatever. I'm like, how many of those guys were fat? And they go, well, none of them. I'm like, you're a fattest. You are a fattest. And I don't want to hear you talk about body positivity until you sleep with a fat guy, right? So, anyway, I just thought it was funny. But anyway, so, I mean, with this story with Nicole Arbour here, I can't tell you that the director, Pat Mills, was wrong in firing her. Obviously, it's his movie.
Yeah.
He controls who gets hired and fired and all that. And if he saw this, he didn't want to be a part of her. He didn't want her to be a part of his movie or be a part of his life. That's his decision. I just wonder if, like, people sort of missed the point of the video. I don't know.
Well, I know that you are a person. I mean,
Go ahead, call me a fat ass.
The woman is obviously trying to be funny.
Yeah, and I'll say right away, I didn't really find it all that funny.
This woman, she does a bunch of these videos, same style, and they are meant to be shot comedy.
Yeah,
that's what they're supposed to be.
Right.
And I know that you are real lenient on giving people that are legitimately trying to do comedy, whether or not the jokes land or not, to give them a pass because what they are doing, they are supposed to be teetering in that line.
Yeah, I mean, they're not politicians saying that, Muslims shouldn't have the right to vote or whatever. I mean, if they're just sitting there making jokes, obviously some jokes are worse than others. And I'm not saying you can't criticize a joke or you have to find a joke funny or whatever. But I think you should just criticize it or say it's not funny and move on. Mm-hmm. Like Trevor Noah is about ready to take over The Daily Show in a week or so. And remember when he was first announced as the new host of The Daily Show, people went through his Twitter from like 3 years back and found like some jokes or whatever that were insensitive to women or to Jews or whatever. He said something like, I don't even remember his jokes anymore, something about his Jewish attorney or like, I don't even remember what the hell the jokes were. There were stupid jokes or there was like sophomore jokes. But people are like, you should fire him based on those jokes. And Comedy Central, to their credit, was like, it was 3 years ago. Yeah. First of all, he comes from South Africa, where comedy didn't really even exist until apartheid was over. There was no such thing as free speech there. Yeah. It's only the comedy scene in South Africa is just now starting to, I guess, become something. And so I just didn't understand the idea that we should fire him. He should never be the host of The Daily Show because 3 years ago, before he was even on The Daily Show, he made a stupid joke on Twitter. I just think it's ridiculous. But anyway, I don't know if you had a larger point you wanted to make, and I apologize if I interrupted you. But
I just know that losing weight, in general, is a very hard thing to do.
I know. It's much easier to gain it.
My mother, for example, is at this point in life where she is overweight to the point where it's affecting her knees. Why are you laughing?
Because while you're talking, I'm eating chips.
My mother is at a point in life.
Losing weight is really hard. Go ahead.
My mother, again, is at a point where she is, her... Why are you so... Oh, I thought you were still laughing.
No.
She's at a point where her knees are very bad because of her weight. And now that she has grandchildren that she would like to be a part of, she's in that catch-22 where she was so overweight that it has affected her knees. Yeah. And now she can't lose weight because now that she wants to lose weight, she can't lose weight because her knees are so bad. So now it comes to the point where now she has to get double leg surgery, like double kneecap surgery. And then I think she wants to get like a membership to a Y so she can go, do water aerobics, things like that. But it's not just something, I mean, some people's metabolism is faster than other people, and they've just been lucky, I guess, in that regards. I mean, some people can't lose weight as quick or as efficient as other people can. So I don't really know where I was going with that. I just know that...
I guess I would say, do you think it will help your mom to lose weight by saying, hey, fatty... you're gonna die if you don't lose. I mean, if you start making fun of someone, does that help them in any way?
No,
I don't think it helps.
It doesn't help at all.
And maybe I don't know. Maybe for some people, they feel so ashamed they will lose weight. I don't know. I guess I can't say nobody would be helped, but overall, I don't think that really helps people. I think generally, speaking as a fat person myself, fat people know that they're fat. Unhealthy people know that they're unhealthy. If you're a friend, you can talk to people in certain ways or whatever where they think, maybe I should. Maybe we can go walking together. There's ways you can help people without just making fun of them. I know exactly where you're going with the mom thing. But
I just want to go ahead and say that losing weight is not exactly an easy thing for people to do. That doesn't mean you shouldn't try it, but we should be a little lenient to people and not shame them. Because how do you know that the overweight gentleman or woman next to you isn't trying to lose weight or has lost.
Yeah. How do you know I wasn't 100 pounds heavier, 5 years ago or whatever, and I've been slowly losing weight? I mean, it's not true, but how do you know?
Right. But it is. But it could be true in regards to somebody else. It could be very true that this person's
just because you see a fat person doesn't mean that they weren't bigger before and they haven't.
I mean, if we took it to the video in a way where it's like, now what if other people took this role of what Nicole did and then took it upon themselves to start shaming people, and there's a gentleman or a woman that was, who was 400 pounds. And is now down to 275 pounds and feels fucking great about themselves because they've lost so much weight. And then somebody goes, "What's up, fatty?"
Yes.
Bam.
Confidence destroyed.
Gone. I mean, you could feel like the fucking king of the world and think, this guy knows nothing about me. I've just lost 125 fucking pounds, and you're gonna call me a fatty.
Yeah, that's people's egos can be very fragile. And yeah, it doesn't matter how much confidence you have. Sometimes it only takes one cutting remark to completely eviscerate you.
Yeah.
Where it's like you're feeling good about yourself, whether you've lost weight or otherwise you're feeling good, and then one person says something mean, and your confidence just gets destroyed.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a sad thing. I've certainly experienced it. I know as well as anybody, losing weight is not easy. I mean, people who are fat generally, unless they have some kind of disorder or whatever, there's usually some underlying problem or whatever, whether it's depression, whether it's, whatever else. People don't eat generally speaking, overweight people aren't just eating all day or eating a lot just because they're hungry or whatever. Mm-hmm. Maybe they're lonely, maybe they eat when they're alone, maybe they eat when they're depressed or whatever else, and they use food to mask other things.
Yeah, sure.
Like eating makes them feel better so they don't have to think about their other problems or whatever.
And that's a psychological issue.
Yeah. So I mean, I know that there's different parts. There's so many different parts to it, and we could sit here and talk about it all day, I suppose. But I guess one point about this whole video and the whole uproar that came after it is of course, yes, the director can hire and fire whoever they would like. And
you don't think that people should be fat shamed?
I don't think that. But generally, I think people largely missed the basic point. I understand you have to kind of watch the whole video to really get the point. So I can understand if people turn it on, they see some jokes about fat people, they're thinking this bitch.
Yeah.
And they just turn it off or whatever.
But you know what? This reminds me. There was this one time, maybe about 2 years ago. There was this blog. Yeah. And it was something that made the rounds. This guy wrote this letter. He actually snapped a picture of this overweight gentleman who was running down a track or something. And he snapped the picture, and he started the letter off, "Dear fat ass."
Okay.
And he went through this whole entire thing about, basically it was...
I thought that was not... I didn't see this thing, but you describing it sounds funny to me.
And basically what he was saying is, he's going through all these different hypotheticals. Basically, he's going the same route that she is.
Okay.
That, he's mocking him at the same time while complimenting him.
Okay.
Saying things like... And finally, at the end of the letter, he's like, "I applaud you, sir. I hope to see you on the track many days to come." And the fucking guy found out about this, and he wrote the fucking best response, and it was the same thing. He's like, "First of all, you don't know me."
Okay.
And he went line by line of this guy's thing, and it was basically, I work very fucking hard at losing weight.
Yeah.
I'm not as lucky as everybody else. I know that I'm overweight. You don't have to fucking tell me, and I don't need your pity or your fucking anything.
Yeah.
To help me accomplish my goals.
Yeah.
Fuck you.
Your attempt at encouragement has backfired.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, I can understand why some people are upset about the Nicole Arbor video, the Dear Fat People video. I don't know if that's exactly the best way to go about, encouraging people. I will say that. I don't know if that's the best way to go about encouraging people to make a video called Dear Fat People. Mm-hmm. And here's a bunch of jokes about fat people.
But at the same time,
yeah.
I have to say that she's trying to be a comedian.
She's trying to be a comedian, yes.
I mean, for all I know, she's trying to be the next Amy Schumer. She might be trying to get a TV show, a movie deal, or something out of these videos.
Yeah.
And I have to say that we've paid more attention to her than probably anybody should.
Right. Yeah. Now she has probably more fame than she had before, so I guess in one way it worked out for her.
Yeah.
She lost the choreography gig, but her next video, I think, I looked at her, see if she'd released any other video since then. Her next one was something called the most offensive video in the world. So maybe it's about that, but I didn't watch it, so I don't know. I don't really care. But all right, let's move to the last story of the day.
Okay.
Because what this show was built on, what we started this show as, was a show about the paranormal.
Yep.
We were starting to turn skeptical when we first started this show. We started this show basically in reaction to what happened with ghost hunters at Fort Delaware, or whatever it was, right? Where they had the whole Collargate incident, where they were basically where they were caught on live TV faking paranormal evidence. Yeah. So our first show, our very first episode of Strange Frequencies Radio, which as far as I know is not available for download.
It is not.
As is like the first 100 or so episodes. Is not
first 200.
Yeah, first 200. People ask about those all the time. Like,
all the time.
Can I hear this episode? It's not available. I'm like, look, I will tell Bobby you want to hear it, but he's not going to do anything. He's not going to upload it.
It's like Bobby
doesn't even upload the last. He doesn't even upload the last YouTube video. So anyway,
I've uploaded more than that.
Yeah, that's true. Didn't upload last week's or a couple weeks before that, but that's fine. So one of the things we used to do, obviously, when we were believed in ghosts back then, we were active ghost hunters, and we've talked all about how we went from believing to not believing, and how we turned skeptical and all that kind of stuff. But what was the name of our training ground? Like the first investigation we ever went to, where we used to quote unquote train, and where we used to bring other prospective members to like get their feet wet in an investigation, was called
the Puente House.
The Puente House.
Yep. The Puente House was a great house.
Yeah.
It was full of paranormal stories.
Yes. Apparently no basis in reality, but at the time we believed them.
So the house was my grandmother and grandfather's house. It's the house that my mother has lived in since she's been 4 years old. And I can remember the ghost stories go back to like when my Aunt Rocky lived in the house.
Yeah.
She would say something along the lines like when she would sleep they had this room in the back room. And that was her bedroom. And when she would sleep in there, she would see like shadow figures moving about, and she would hear doors open and close, and they'd get so scared they wouldn't go check and stuff like that. And then when my grandfather died, he died. Get this, guys. He died in the house.
Okay.
And it was already his house. So if ghosts did stick around, I could see why my grandfather would want to hang out at his house.
Yeah.
And so he. There was this boyfriend that my cousin Liana had. My cousin Liana was living at the house, and he didn't know anything about my grandfather. And he said that he had turned over and he saw like the figure of an older gentleman. I don't know how you can see a faceless, expressionless ghost, just basically a shadow figure, and know that he was old. Don't know that one. That one did kind of like, well, how do you know he was old? But anyway,
maybe he was wearing loafers.
But he said that he was standing there with his arms like on his waist, looking at him with his head cocked. And of course, my cousin Leanna goes, "Well, that's how my grandpa Bert always stared in the doorway and looked at me, or looked at he would look over there and he would stand there and he would see his grandchildren sleeping and he would look and he would cock his head around like that." And she was fully convinced that my grandfather was haunting the house.
Okay.
And I bought that one, hook, line, and sinker. I was like, wow.
Yeah,
that does kind of sound like my grandpa.
Right.
And then we did a ghost hunt there before I was even a ghost hunter. We were just sitting in the house, the lights off. My grandmother was asleep, and I was just saying, I heard that if you ask ghosts, I've always been interested in the paranormal, but I wasn't an active ghost hunter. And I said, I heard that if you ask a ghost for a sign, more often than not, they will let you know that they are there. So I said something along the lines like, "Is there anybody here in the house that's a spirit that would like to let us know that they're here?" And then in the kitchen, a fork, it was one of those big metal forks, or not metal forks, big wooden forks.
Okay.
Forks, like that you use like a spoon and a fork for like for tossing salads and things like that. And what they would do is that there you go.
We're so sophomore. We're tossing salad.
Yeah.
We weren't thinking about lettuce in our heads. There, go ahead.
But anyway, they had the cupboards. The magnets of the doors wouldn't keep the cupboards closed, so they would stick this wooden fork inside there, and the pressure from it pushing out would put tension on the fork, and it would prevent them from opening up. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
it's kind of like they were using it as like a lock.
Right. Okay.
That ended up being on the floor, and the cupboards were open. So we're like, "Oh my god!
He showed us a sign.
He actually pushed it closed, threw out the wooden fork, and the doors were open." So I was like, "Oh my god, this house is fucking haunted!"
Right.
So then when we became ghost hunters, my grandmother had died, and I was like, "Let me go." The house had been vacant for a couple of years by then, and I went over to my aunt's house, and I was like, "Do you know of any?" Because they know a lot of people in the neighborhood, and I know that my aunt would say things like, "Look, it's cold out, it's dark out, just go in through the window. You can sleep in the house. You know, she was like that. So I would go over there. I was like, listen, I'm gonna take people over to the house. Is there anybody that you know of that is sleeping in that house right now? And she would say, no, nobody that I know of. So what we would do is we would go open up the door. We would yell out to the living to leave so we could go in to talk to the dead.
Yes, I remember doing that when we would go ghost hunting. We'd walk in. If there's anybody here, you can't sleep here tonight. We ask you to leave or whatever. We have to come in and talk to the dead spirits. So we need the living people to get out.
Yeah. I think we would say, hey, if anybody's in here, we're going to
give you 5 minutes.
We're going to give you 5 minutes to leave. If you do not leave when we come in, we find you here, we're going to call the police.
Yeah.
Which is probably the most dumb fuck thing that you can think of to do.
Yeah.
We're taking a group of people to a house where, for all I know, there's a fucking convicted felon that, you know, has no qualms of murdering somebody.
There's some escaped convict or whatever in the house.
Yeah. And so...
we're going to give you 5 minutes and then we're coming in and
we
all have wallets and jewelry.
And cell phones. And we had to have gone there at least
Oh, you have a gun. Okay, well...
I remember there was one that we stayed like literally the whole night, and the only fucking thing we did is we tried to get ghosts to manipulate a flame.
Yes, we had candles. And that was...
Which another reason why... those are one of those fucking stories you hear about fucking houses burning down in the ghost hunting community. Anyway, we probably did the investigations at that house probably.
We were there so
times.
often. We did EVP stuff there. We talked before with our last EVP listening party we did a couple months back. We talked about how we each believed that we had captured evidence on a recorder of items being thrown at this house.
Yeah.
And then when you and I went there and like stayed there, because what we did, we would put recorders down, we would leave.
Yeah.
We'd come back like 2 hours later.
We've already gotten the gold evidence. We know the house is haunted, so we don't have to stay there. We would walk in, we would tell the ghost that we were there.
Okay, here we are, guys.
And that we're going to leave, and when we leave, you don't have to be shy. You can make all the ruckus you want.
And we'd say, you see this little red light? Speak right into that.
Yeah, we would do it too.
So we would gather the recorder. We'd come back like 2 hours later or whatever, gather the recorders up or whatever, listen to them, by ourselves individually. And I would say, Bob, there was a noise on there. It sounded for sure like something being dropped.
Yeah.
And we would go, oh my God, it was clearly something like a broomstick.
Yeah.
We didn't know what it was. But so then we decided we're going to figure this out. We're going to go back to the house one day. We're going to just sit there and we're going to wait. We're going to wait to see if we hear this noise.
Because you would catch it on your recorder.
Yeah.
And then I'd be like, it's on mine too.
We know something is happening. Yeah. So then we went back.
There's nobody there who can be throwing things.
Yeah. So we went back and we waited to hear the sound. And one day we heard the goddamn sound when we went in.
And it was like your fucking worldview just got destroyed.
It was instant collapse of a belief system. Because what it was, and if anybody heard that last EVP listening party episode from a few months back, you'll remember. But what it was a cassette tape running out of tape and stopping.
Once it would hit the end, it just goes
clunk. Yeah, you're like a loud clunk.
Yeah, what it is it's the record and play button popping up.
Yeah, exactly. So on the digital recorders or whatever from the next room or whatever, you'd hear this noise, and that was the noise of the cassette tape stopping. But we thought it was like listening at home, we're like something was thrown. So anyway, we found it out. I'm like, oh, I know what it is.
Yeah.
We said we're like, no!
Yep.
We were so mad, but
it was so sad.
We were glad to have figured it out, but at the same time, it was heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't the fork being thrown. It wasn't.
Yeah.
So So anyway.
So basically, the reason why we decided to recount these wonderful stories was because I found out yesterday or the other day that they are tearing down the Puente house.
Oh man, the Puente house, our training ground, the part where the home where my ghost hunting chops were first created.
Yep.
Is being razed. Is being torn down.
Yeah, they're taking it down. I'm actually very sad about it because I have a lot of memories. In that house.
Yeah. You're going to be way more sad than I am. I mean, like,
now I know,
barely even care.
Yeah. I know that.
It was like a family home for you.
So I know there's this like right in the front of the house. There's like this. I guess rainwater would often get on the porch, and so there's this head of a lion with its mouth open. Yeah. And basically, it provided a drain. So when it's like raining, you could actually see like the water coming out of the line. I want that head. Yeah. I don't know how I'm gonna get it, but I'm gonna fucking take that head. Yeah. So basically, what happened is that somebody had made a complaint because the house has been vacant. That and the city owns the house. Okay. That the backyard was so fucking monstrously messy and overgrown that they needed to do something about it. So they finally went through
I probably saw it on the news. Because I know that they do this regular segment on WTOL called Who owns this dump?
Yeah. And the city had gone through. They fixed up the backyard. They went through and they cleaned everything out of the house. And then when my aunt went over and spoke with one of the contractors or whatever, they said, unfortunately, we have to tear the house down because we found asbestos.
Asbestos.
Yeah, and it would cost way more than the house is worth to try and redo the house. So we're just going to demolish it.
So stay tuned next week when we find out that Bobby and I have cancer from repeated visits to the house.
I know.
We inhaled asbestos.
All those years I went visiting the house.
It wasn't the ghost we had to be worried about. It was the cancer-causing agent.
Yep.
So we're gonna die. So basically what we're doing is memorializing the Puente House. Like I said, it's much more of a emotional, personal matter for you.
But what people don't realize,
I'll miss it as well. I mean, it was at least a part of my life.
It will be weird to drive down that street and not see that house there.
Yeah.
But what people don't know though, is that the land is forever tainted.
Right.
Should anybody ever build a house there?
Oh yeah.
The house will be haunted.
Right.
Because I will plant the seed.
We're gonna go to that person's house and say, the house that you built here is in the middle of an old haunted location.
And it was so haunted that they had to tear the house down that stood here before.
Exactly. That's how crazy shit was. They had to tear it down. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna leave some cassettes, like we're gonna cassette recorders going.
Yeah.
Anyway, so the house has not been torn down yet.
Has not been torn down yet.
But
They're guessing within a couple of weeks they're going to tear it down.
So you have to go and get that. You have to get some memento.
Yeah.
And the memento
the
you want
mailbox
is that,
or the head.
We're taking the head. Bob's taking the head. So you're going to try to get the lion's head.
I got to find like a concrete saw if they even make them.
Nice chisel.
Like a concrete hand saw, not like one of those big.
Okay.
I don't know if they make those.
It's probably how heavy do you think the thing is?
Probably 40 pounds.
Okay, so it's not that heavy.
No.
Okay, I was thinking like, what if it's like hundreds of
It's like
pounds?
the size of a baseball.
Oh,
or
okay,
the size of a bowling ball.
Okay, no big deal. For some reason, I thought it was gonna be like this giant. I couldn't remember exactly. I don't even remember the head at all. But the way you were describing it, I was thinking it was like this big giant lion's head. I was like, that thing's gonna be like 500 pounds.
There's a picture of it on my Facebook. I'll show it to me. I'll find it.
But anyway, so that was our memorial for the Puente House. We're never going to go there and ghost hunt again. We're never going to take other people there to any prospective members to get there to train them in the fine arts of Phase 3 ghost hunting. And odds are we were never going to go there again for any reason.
Right there.
Oh, okay.
Right in the front.
Okay. So yeah, we were never going to go there again, most likely anyway, for any paranormal reason anyway, but there is part of me even that will miss it. Because
I think it's a tiger head.
Yeah, whatever.
I want that.
Yeah, you'll get that.
That'll be in my new office.
Yes. So there's going to be a part of me that misses it, but obviously for you it's a bigger thing. It's someplace that you went as a kid and everything else. So anyway, that's the show.
All right.
We ended on a sour note.
Yeah.
As we typically do.
Yep.
All right. Next week on Strange Frequencies Radio, we're going to be welcoming back Dr. Scott Bond, sociologist, professor of sociology at Drew University, and expertise in criminology and serial killers and all that kind of stuff. What we're going to be talking about him with today, we've talked with him before about serial killers, we've talked to him before about like state crime and all that. This next week, I wanted to talk to him about all the stuff that's going on in the news as it involves increased homicide rates across the country, the sour, relationships that are developing between, especially amongst black people and police officers, and just get his take on the whole Black Lives Matter movement and the counter protest to that, the whole all lives matter, police lives matter, all that kind of stuff. I want to get his take on that, what he's seeing, maybe what's caused the increased homicide rates, if the increased homicide rates are related to, as some people say, the Ferguson effect, or if it's Obama's fault, or anybody else's fault. So I'm curious to see what his particular insight will show.
Awesome.
That is next week. We're also working on a few other guests. Hopefully, we'll have more information about that.
I just want Robert Englund on the show.
I want Robert Englund on the show as well.
That's Freddy Krueger.
Somebody is trying to get him for us.
I know.
It's probably not going to happen, but it's one of those Hail Mary passes that we're making.
Yep.
We're just hoping that he catches the ball. All right, so stay tuned. Next week we'll be back Sunday, 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific. StrangeFrequenciesRadio.wordpress.com, Facebook.com/StrangeFrequenciesRadio. And Bob, until we meet again, let the world of the weird keep turning.
Good night, citizens of Earth.
Dear weird people, dear fat people,